Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Cal G. And to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire,
Mike Kent.
The podcast is the place to come to if you want to hear about the art and news of video games, comics, and movies that week.
I hesitate to say pop culture.
That's okay, you don't have to say it. We don't do pop culture anymore.
No.
I haven't done comic news in a long time either, actually.
Yeah.
You know? Venom is getting traditional numbering again, which is weird. They're doing Venom 150 for the big event. Like when he's gonna, spoiler alert, he's going back on Eddie Brock. So they're doing like Venom 150. It's gonna be a huge blowout thing. Because I don't know if Venom number 7 is gonna have quite the same ring to it, but...
So they're just going back to the old numbers from the old issues.
Yeah.
That's just confusing.
Oh yeah, totally. Someone's gonna see that on the shelf beside number 6 and be like,
yeah.
What? am I getting the right one?
We're gonna get. I remember when I was younger too, and I used to look at comic books, and there'd be like for Spider-Man, there'd be issue 600 and something.
Yes.
And you'd be like, oh my god, there's so many issues, but then there'd be one next to it saying issue number 43, and you'd be like, but Amazing Spider-Man had like 43 issues, but then like the Incredible Spider-Man had like 200 issues,
yeah.
And Spider-Man had 600 and something issues, and you're like,
where do I start?
And are they 3 different Spider-Man? Do they all happen in 3 different Spider-Verses? And they were all the same one. And
now it's actually almost like the opposite problem now. I swear, I go to the comic shop every month and pick up new Venom. So I'm seeing like, there's a new Marvel Now #1. Every fucking time there's a #1 for someone. And it's like, no, but I just read 4 issues of that. And it just went, I don't know if it just did like 1 to 4, another restarting again, 1 to 4. I wonder if they just keep wanting people to jump on new arcs, you know? So you know if you're in the middle of something, if it said like, we're on issue 9, someone might be, But if you're on issue 3 of like this
I think
second
a more
arc,
clarified title thing. So like the Ultimate series that happened with X-Men, that was their new. Well, they didn't even relaunch. It was just a secondary universe.
Yeah.
That was really clear to me. Like when I came out with 1, I was like, oh my god, new universe followed along from like page 1 and went on.
Yeah.
And it was very clear, and it was like Ultimate X-Men. It was very different. Like that's a
Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah.
So that's what they need to do. They need to have very clearly defined, broken up. Excuse me. Like titles, like if you're gonna do a new Spider-Man 1, it's gotta be fucking, I don't know, like, you know, Super Spider-Man 1, and then, this is...
And I feel like they just changed that willy-nilly now, too, the descripting word, because there was the Superior Spider-Man arc that went on for a year. Yeah. But it was just, that just meant Dr. Octopus Freaky Friday with Spider-Man, and they switched bodies. Oh no, Spider-Man was dead. He was like a ghost. Like, he was like the conscience of Dr. Ock, who was in Spider-Man's body. Oh, that was a weird arc. But like... But that was called Superior Spider-Man, and it wasn't like in a superior universe. It was just like, just so you know, this is the Freaky Friday thing happening, and like that's what they do. I don't know. It is hard to know what's going on within each thing right now. Maybe I just don't pay close enough attention. Anyways,
and there's like this universe, or like the 636 universe, or something like that.
616
universe. Then there's the, I don't know. I don't get what universe was my original universe anymore.
616 was our universe growing up, I believe, and I refuse to believe anything else. Anyways, what's happening this week is we're going down the list of newsy news you need to know. We got fucking movie news, we got game news, actually quite even billing actually this week, which is cool. And then after the break, we're going to be talking about all things Mass Effect. We're going to be talking about Mass Effect Andromeda, the fucking weird ass lead up to everything that you know is happening now. They actually just released as Friday, as you guys listening to this. They actually released their first like good trailer, like the first one that like really was like, oh, I'm excited about this now.
I finally got my full ramp up. Like everything before this was like,
yeah, we're gonna talk about the hype levels and like how they've increased, decreased, and gone all over the map.
It just wasn't like no one was like, everyone who put it up every single time the reaction was like, cool, not like oh my god, I can't wait. Like, I never really read that response from anyone, and I have some friends who are like, they don't play anything with Mass Effect. Like I have had their PSN name sitting on my thing, and it's been 3 years blank, and it says like Republic Gladiator, and it's just that. And then once Mass Effect turns back on, like they'll be back on. Like they don't have a PlayStation for anything else other than Mass Effect, and their reaction was just like, looks fun,
yeah.
But like when an expansion came out back in the day, they were like, fucking Jesus, God, like like insane. So it's a weird reaction to it. But now finally, you're right. With today's trailer, I was like, oh.
Yeah, Katy Perry, hot and cold. Is there any housekeeping for Pens and Pixels, Mike?
Nope, not this week.
Oh, great. Cool.
Yay.
All right, right into the newsy news. Makes me feel better about that whole little comic book we did, wasting all these people's time. All right.
Wasting people's time.
No, never. We would never do that. Okay, first off, we're going to start off with our favorite, Mr. Shane Black.
Woo!
He had some comments about the Predator movie. So actually, the Predator is ready to begin shooting. It's going to start shooting this summer.
Yeah.
No, right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Sick. It's also coming out like exactly a year from now. It's going to inhabit like the John Wick slot, I believe, like early February release. So
yeah,
which is cool. So Shane Black follows up the critically acclaimed 1970s noir comedy The Nice Guys with The Predator. Yeah, we know. No plot deals have been revealed at this time, but rumors persist that this latest installment of the Predator series takes place in a suburban backdrop.
I thought it wasn't in suburbia.
I thought that
he screamed about
Shane
no
Black
suburbia.
said
He's like, not suburbia downtown.
Yeah, he had yes, all right. He had quite the tantrum about that whole thing.
I remember that we had an entire joke thing about him setting himself on fire and using the birds. And
we've also heard that it deals with a militarization of the Predator, and that the alien hunters will be all CG instead of practical men in suits.
Ooh.
We've also heard that Arnold Schwarzenegger does not have a substantial role and only appears in the very last few shots in the movie as he arrives to save the day. Spoiler alert.
That sounds just like rumor mill.
So that was actually supposed to happen at the end of the last Predator movie, Predator, which I thought would have been cool, personally. If he just jumped out of a Predator ship and he's like, I'm their king now. I'd be like, dope, cool. What's their society like? Do they have Predator McDonald's? I always wonder what the fucking Predator hometown is like. Homeland is like, because like they're all, the ones we see are the alpha warriors, right?
And how much of a bitch of a thing do you have to be the server at McDonald's? Yeah.
Like, we only see the alpha, the absolute, are there like ones with big paunches and they're big fat guys and they're just like, they have the mandibles and
although I suppose if you were a cook, you'd probably be at like on a high level, because I assume they eat their prey.
There's a whole raw meat thing, I think it was in Predator, was it 2 or 1? They hang up the raw meat.
Oh yeah.
And it eats it raw, so that's such a savage thing to do, but they're so technologically advanced that like, it's clear they need to have some sort of intelligence. Yeah. Like, how do they... There's a lot of shit about the Predator like universe I do not understand. Has it ever been explored in like comic books or
a
like,
little bit
lore? You know why?
There was some Predator universe in Alien vs Predator, the comic books, which were great.
I remember reading some of them when I was a kid, but like don't remember them very well.
Some of them were really good. There was a particular arc on like the actual like whole Alien vs Predator thing, and then there was a woman who her family gets killed, and so she actually, it's kind of like the movie. She proves herself to the Predators, and she gets to join in with them and like hunt aliens with them because she proves herself to be an equal. And then she actually ends up, I think she gets pregnant by one of the Predators, actually.
Hot.
Yeah, which is just gonna imagine what kind of mandible dick that was.
No, mandible dick or mandible sperm. It would really hurt when they're like, fertilizing you.
But she actually is like in their ships and on their planets and stuff, and most of the shots, though, and all the talk of their whole thing is, like the tribal ritual, and that the strongest are at the top, and that's the leader, and they like fight each other a lot.
But are there like Predator scientists?
Yeah,
who makes the technology, right?
Yeah, but like, if all you're doing is hunting,
do they have lips and can they actually talk?
No, they have the little pussy lips. Do the thing.
Yeah, like the...
Yeah. Well, they can talk. They're making up their own voices.
You're right. I guess that's true. Yeah.
They could copy voices. Remember?
Yeah. Oh. Jesus.
Even though they don't have proper mouths, like they just have a vagina.
They're such a weird, they're such a weird hybrid of like completely savages, but also like really like technologically advanced. Very strange.
And they never did anything like, they stole their technology or anything like that. It was like all them, and they just built around this. I don't know, like there's not really a strong singular source.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I want to see it explored. I kind of like speculating more than anything. So anyways, they say apparently this Arnold thing isn't happening according to Holbrook. Okay, Holbrook I guess is fucking Shane Black's lackey. He insists that this...
the filter? He's the new filter?
I guess so. Yeah, he's the one who has to stand in front of him. Like he's like Sean Spicer to Trump. He insists that this isn't a sequel either. Speaking with We Got This Covered, he explains how this movie is not tied to the first few films in the franchise, and he doesn't see Arnold being able to come in for the much talked about cameo. He goes on to say, I'm currently working on Predator. It's not a sequel. Shane Black has made something totally new, somehow keeping within the realm of the Predator, while also being new in terms of the story that we're talking about today, and rooted in something real. It's real fresh. I don't think you're going to see Arnold Schwarzenegger. It would make for kind of a gimmick. It's horror, science fiction, and a western.
Okay, so...
Bravo.
Apparently... He's not a filter. He's just a microphone.
Just a parrot.
He's a microphone. He's just like making it worse. Like, the filter's out.
It's like when you see like a guy go to like serenade or get a girl, but he has like the comm in his ear, and he has this friend telling him what to say.
Yeah.
Shane Black's like, he's like, no, it's a fucking horror movie. It's a science fiction movie.
It's a western.
It's a western. He just saw Tumbleweed in the background.
he just stops. Shane, are you just talking about things you see? Get off the movie set. There's too many stimulating things.
Anyways, that's all I have to say about the Predator right now.
It's funny how there's a little bit of juxtaposition, because like with all the disasters been happening with like the Batman stuff, this feels like the same thing, but like somehow it's like this joyous mistake that's going to happen, and it's probably going to be great.
Well, that's the thing. Shane Black's never really made a bad movie.
No, that's the thing. So it's going to be this like spontaneous, joyous mistake.
Yeah.
You know, and the insanity behind it doesn't matter, right? Because no one else is aware. No one else is following Shane Black's career as far, I believe, we are.
No. I think it'll probably be like that episode in The Simpsons when Homer's trying to make that barbecue, and they're like, "How's your father doing?" And he's just like screaming and runs into it with an umbrella, and then just but in Shane Black's case, it's actually like a full barbecue at the end.
And then the Spitzer guy is just like watching them go insane, and then hits him with the umbrella. It's done now.
We did it. All right, next up, again, some Marvel news. Scarlett Johansson says timing is key for that long-rumored Black Widow movie.
Oh my god, girl.
All right, so talking to Total Film magazine, Johansson explains why she thinks timing is key when making a Black Widow a reality, adding that she's spoken to Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige about making it happen. However, both the schedule of the studio and her many commitments complicates things. We're really creatively compatible. I think we both agree that the character is right for a standalone. It's just a case of timing at this point for both Marvel and myself. If I did it, I would dedicate myself completely to making it amazing. It would have to be the best version the movie could possibly be. Otherwise, I would never do it. It's its own style and story, and there's a lot of great stuff you could do with it. I think she's right that Black Widow movie could be great.
No, that's the thing. A Black Widow movie has to happen. Like at this point, it doesn't happen throughout any of the phases. It's going to turn into one of those like things where they're like, oh, you don't embrace women, blah blah. Well, they have some female characters coming up. She's the one that needs to have happen, right? She's the only character that hasn't had some sort of development. I mean, it's the fuck. At this point, it feels more likely they'll make a fucking Falcon movie before they make the Black Widow movie, which would be awful.
Oh yeah, I would not want to see that.
No, but Black Widow has to happen, and there's an amazing story, like the whole thing with the Red Room and like her training and etc., and maybe even giving her a little bit of a boost up so people can believe that she can grab onto a fucking flying alien without ripping her arm out of her socket.
Yes.
But you know, like give her a little bit of backstory. Plus, like taking kind of the inspiration from some of the latest superhero from TV shows to movies, like Logan or Legion or the Netflix shows, is while she's an action character and people like watching her kick ass, making this into a real drama spy movie, right? And more about like her being able to like break down scenarios in ways that no one else can.
Mm-hmm.
Like breaking out, like if I go here and I stand here, and then never seen it's a show and it was about a group of
Get Smart.
Oh god. She's standing there and she pulls off like her high heel and clicks it off, goes there to her ear.
Yeah, it's a phone.
It's a phone.
I'm here, Hawkeye.
She shoots her own lipstick into her head. No, it was a TV show, and it was about like a grifter, and one was a hacker, one was like the leader, one was like the fist. Like
Macmillan and wife.
Fuck, what was it called? Anyways, and like they would go out and they would grift and like steal from the rich. And,
Kojak.
Kojak.
Isn't the bald detective?
No.
No?
No.
Is that not what Kojak is?
Is that it?
Kojak?
Oh.
I'm like 80% sure Kojak is a bald detective. Okay. Sorry, off the point. I was just trying to make things.
Anyways, that story was really cool, and I always liked that show because whenever like they would go in, they would like have to like put on a persona and like work their grift in order to like try and convince this guy that they were real, and then like put him in proper scenarios where he'd be malleable enough to like put in his code and they could see it, etc. Right? Like I want to see her like infiltrate like
totally, yeah. Yeah, Marvel doing a straight up spy movie could be really dope.
Yeah, because like I mean, if Logan's turned into what the reviews are saying it is being like this really honest to true grit, very much a drama, even with like heavy bleedy action because it's Wolverine. I think that's the new future to keep the Marvel franchise going.
I saw
because I have to admit, I just rewatched Doctor Strange and I loved that movie. It was perfect, like great Doctor Strange movie. And Doctor Strange is awesome, but I was like, I kind of don't want any more of these.
Well, I mean, it's just a fun like romp.
I'm like, I'm just like. I'm getting Marvel movie fatigue here.
I saw Jeff Kanata. I'm a big fan of him. He's on the Slash Filmcast, among other things. But he just said that he thinks that with Logan and now Legion, He thinks that we're ushering in like the Dark Knight Returns era of like comic book movies now.
Yeah.
You know, like we're actually getting a little more serious with them. We're actually going to take them a little more seriously, and everything's going to happen.
The next phase is going to have to take a shift because like I can't do any. I mean, we're over.
I mean, I totally can do more with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, but that's a different. Again, that's a change. Guardians of the Galaxy never took anything seriously about that whole thing. It was literally just a comedy at the end of the day, right? Action comedy. But the other ones were always trying to hold themselves within this, like, they hover at a 50% of everything. 50% drama, 50% sci-fi, 50% action, 50% anything, right? And it's this all-rounder that really made it okay so that every single human being could join in. But there's nothing to prove anymore.
You guys nailed it. You got that formula down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even,
I agree.
I mean, you don't have to prove heroes anymore. You don't have to prove that, like, hey, heroes are cool. Everyone's like, yes, we get it. You made 20 movies. Like, they're cool. We want to see more. We want to see where your story's going. Cinematic universe, amazing idea. Let's keep this running, right? Everyone's on board. You know, it's good. But it's something else now.
Yeah, totally. No, I can definitely see it taken that way after Infinity War's over and we go into the hypothetical phase 4 of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where Black Widow arises because that does have a chance to be more serious, like you said. It could be a lot of core. Could be like a more grittier era, you know? Maybe fucking Thanos like just lays waste to everything, and they're like, all right.
Or you just start picking up on grounding it again, right? Like we just went to a giant space war. The last thing everyone's going to want to see is how much bigger, because like once Marvel or DC gets bigger than their big galactic wars, it gets pretty fucking insane.
Dimensional wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
I.e. the fucking Secret Wars that happened. That was a piece of shit. Did you read any of that?
No.
Don't.
I won't.
It was really, really bad.
I heard.
It was so bad.
Although I still read Avengers vs. X-Men, hearing it was bad. And it was.
It was.
All right, next up. More evidence would seem to confirm that Marvel has a Namor, the Submariner project in the works.
This is very rumor milly, but
Very much so. Actually, we got a lot of these stories this week. They're very rumor milly, but that's what we got, so accept it. All right, yesterday, Real News Hawaii reported that Marvel was planning to shoot either a Namor, the Submariner movie or TV series at a new studio in Oahu. There wasn't really anything solid to back this up aside from some buzz around the island. But because these guys also broke the news that the Inhumans was scheduled to film there, we figured it was worth paying attention to. Well, now we have more evidence that may just confirm this initial rumor.
also because the Inhumans production is really confusing because they keep on backing out of that a lot.
Well, I thought the TV show was going forward. I thought that was the whole Vin Diesel thing.
No, I thought that whole thing was that the show wasn't happening anymore.
I thought the movie wasn't happening, show was, and that Vin Diesel was like,
Yeah,
it should
I
be
thought,
a movie.
I thought it was movie show was supposed to be happening. Vin Diesel was like wanted to be a movie, and now they're like show is production is going to be halted.
Interesting. No, I didn't. I don't remember that. If we did report on it.
Oh, I don't even report on it. I think I just read that recently.
Oh.
But nevertheless, the Inhumans in itself has been running through its own production hell in the first place, just getting to where it's gotten to.
Production Weekly lists Submariner as one of the projects that there's set to go into production. If you recall, a Production Weekly list is also first brought our attention to X-Men Supernova. That's something we didn't report on, but if you want to know about it, the next X-Men movie is preemptively titled X-Men Supernova. And though that title may not stick, we now know that the new X-Flick is indeed in the cards. As far as figuring out if this will be a movie or a TV series, these lists both include there's speculation that it might be the mysterious John Ridley project we've been hearing about. We still have to take this as rumor until we hear something official, but hopefully announcement is on the horizon. I feel like this is fucking weird to me, because I feel like we just would have heard more about it if it was going to be a movie.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be a movie. It could be a show, but the thing is so, like, the Hawaiian production stuff, there's the DC guys there who are working, obviously, on Aquaman, which is all very clear and transparent. But the Namor stuff is that Marvel's there, and they're on another similar article, they were like, they're doing and set up for production on some sort of aquatic theme shoot.
Yeah.
Which is like, other than Namor, they don't, like, Namor is a very lonely superhero because he's the only one down there.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? Like,
yeah, but like,
really aren't lots of other underwater heroes.
It would just be weird to me that, like, this is going into production now when, like, we have Black Panther is just getting into production soon. And, like, Captain Marvel isn't even in production yet.
That's why
you know?
probably TV show.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
Like, we would have heard about it if it was a movie.
Yeah.
It would have been announced in one of the phases.
And also, this isn't Marvel Entertainment with Disney. This is the Fox Productions, isn't it?
Is it? It didn't say in there. Anyways,
It wasn't Marvel. It's not Marvel Disney. That's for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think it was either Universal or Fox.
Well, okay, we're gonna get into a bunch of like bag of shit here, but I believe Namor was one of the guys who was I think he was with Universal. No. Hulk's with Universal.
Yeah.
Namor was off with, like, some fucking shitty side company. Like, he was the one that got bought by, like a literal nobody, and they never used him. And they just fucking sat on him. I always wondered if, like, because it'd been so long that he had gone back to Marvel at this point.
No, we reported on that. We reported that the license for Namor was up soon.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
okay.
Up very soon. Like, that was about 4 weeks ago.
Oh. Like, is this a Netflix series? Are we going to all of a sudden see a trailer for, like...
That'd
be so weird.
That's a weird character. Like, I mean, he's cool, and he's had, like, major roles in so many major arcs. But...
Totally. I've never read Namor, like, exclusively. I've never been like, I'm reading a Namor comic. I've only seen his appearances and other stuff, and he's always done cool shit. Like,
he's very dark.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of Black Panther really badly. I think he beat up Black Bolt, and he also ripped Venom's tongue out.
Yeah.
Venom ripped his, like, wings off his feet.
He's an angry guy. Like, always angry, punching, tearing, ripping, killing.
There were a lot of angry letters about him ripping out Venom's tongue, because... And there was, like, blood and shit, and, like, people were like, the tongue is just part of the symbiote. It's just goo. Just more goo. How did he rip it out? And, like,
different colored goo.
I remember that being, like, a controversy.
It more have been, like, really would have ripped it out, and then suddenly there'd just be Eddie Brock's face, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah. But yeah, Namor's kind
He's sitting there the whole time. He's like, give it back.
Yeah, but Namor's kind of a badass aquatic elf man, so, like...
Yeah.
I'm down for having him. It would just be weird and so sudden if this was all of a sudden, like, they were like, okay, well, do we have rights to the ocean? We can do that? Okay, well, that's what do we have? What do we have? Can we put Black Widow underwater?
They just took a camera and put it on a string and just put it under. Now hold your breath.
Well, can we get Anthony Mackie to go under there? Be the Falcon underwater? That doesn't work. That doesn't at all work, Kevin. Oh. Well, who do we is this in the papers? This guy, he's mostly naked. He's in trunks. Can we get Trunks from Dragon Ball? And like, no!
I think Kevin's got a better hold than that.
Yeah, just make him out to be a crazy person, yeah. Kevin Feige, you're a brilliant man. You're good at what you do.
You're kind of rhyming off the DC guy there. What the fuck's his name? Not Bryan Singer. Their director for the last two.
David Ayer?
That's it.
Yeah. Alright, speaking of DC, The Batman. Oh. This Batman saga has been real rough. For the last like 5 weeks, I feel like we've had a Batman story. We even named one of the episodes, like, the up and downs of, like, Ben Affleck's Batman or something. Well, and now...
Every week there is a new story of something worse happening.
So, okay. The Batman. Ben Affleck reportedly wants to leave the role.
Yeah.
This comes via Collider Movie Talk host John Campea. I don't know how to say his last name. Sorry, John
I gotta say, now if I'm hearing about all the production side, Ben Affleck wanting to run like hell sounds like the right move. Because, like, this sounds like he's just like, I can't even fix this.
Oh yeah,
like I just
it doesn't speak well for Justice League. But let me read what happened here.
It's like he comes in the door and he opens up the door and it just as soon as he slides, it's like all on fire and like people are like throwing their own feces at each other and he's just like I can't fix this.
There's no going back.
There's nothing I can do.
Okay, so host John Campa stated he'd heard from 3 separate sources involved with Warner Brothers over the last 4 days that Affleck is looking to leave the role of Batman, along with a warning to take what he's heard with a grain of salt. Campa said, Ben Affleck, make no mistake, he wants out. He does not want to be Batman anymore. He went on to say that his sources tell him Affleck is in discussions with Warner Brothers to get out of his deal to continue playing the character, which includes the Batman. But if that deal cannot be reached in time, the solo film will be his last appearance he makes as the character. Okay, so...
Which means we get Batfleck for, obviously, for Justice League, since it's already shooting.
Yep.
And then the solo film, and then that's it.
That's it. I'm of two minds about this rumor. It seems so believable that I could see someone just saying it for some clicks, you know what I mean? It's because with everything that's happened up until this point, I could see someone just being like, well, Ben Affleck leaving would be believable, and they just say it, they get some fucking clicks and some headlines, and that's great. At the same time, it's so believable that I believe it could actually happen, you know? Like, that's totally a thing that I could see Ben Affleck doing after all of his, like, kind of insane, like, ranting on the talk shows about, like, they just need to leave me alone about the Batman. It's getting done. I worked on Live by Night for 3 years. No one asked me about that. You know, he's all fucking jaded over it. So
that's the part. So like taking just a look at Affleck, I don't like his reaction as an actor to this because like he's bitching more about how his other movies aren't getting as much attention as this Batman role, and I'm like, dude. The second anyone becomes anything superhero in this world, every single nerd fan, which no one realized was like 80% of the population hiding out in basements and the rest of you were all out there. Like, we all were like finally getting verification that our lifestyle basically was like valid. And now you the super sexy superstar are validating it for us, so we are going to latch onto you.
Also, you're the fucking Batman.
And,
you're the number one
thing.
superhero who sells the most merchandise of all time. Like all that
that's
shit.
the thing
like,
too. And, like, of all the heroes, like, you actually take out Spider-Man and Superman. Batman is the one that, like, everyone's just like, Batman is cool. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah,
everyone
thinks Batman's cool. That's the thing.
Like, so you're fucked. Like, what do you expect?
Even someone like, Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be getting questions for the next, like, when are we going to see Doctor Strange again?
Yeah.
Like, do you want to ask me about Sherlock season? No, not even at all. That's over now.
And
you're Doctor Strange.
Even already, people are just automatically wiping him out of stuff. Like, with Sherlock and stuff, are like, oh, well, you're going to keep doing Sherlock. You're not doing Sherlock anymore because you're doing Doctor Strange. I'm not? No, because you're Doctor Strange now. But I want to do other... all I know is that you do Doctor Strange.
Well, who's Sherlock?
I got a state and you don't do anything else. No, really, I do.
Yeah, man, that's just the thing you have to deal with. And like,
two like armed guards come in and just carry him off and put a cape on him. Yo.
He's just had this like kind of Ben Affleck's had this kind of insane reaction over the last little while, and like probably totally understandably with the shit show that seems to be going on over there.
So that's the part that makes me like, I'm like with Affleck, I'm not really happy with his reaction, like to being like almost resistant to the fame that Batman would bring to him, because no one hated his Batman. No one like outright hated his Batman. Some people didn't like it, but it wasn't like fucking Batman and Robin. God, it was in Gravity. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, George Clooney's
Batman. Most people were like, George Clooney should not have been Batman.
Yes. I think that's a reasonable opinion.
Yeah. So
yeah, Ben Affleck. I mean, I think he was by far the strongest part about all that.
Yeah. So that's that part.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, like, is he in the midst of filming Justice League? He's like, this is another fucking shit show. Fuck! He's like, it's not getting better. And like, and then now in the Batman script, he sees it after filming like Live by Night, and he's like, this is bad.
And all the other actors around him, right, are all kind of they're junior. They're junior in comparison to Affleck.
Sure, yeah, he's definitely the
like,
old one.
Yeah, like he has the right to kind of stand up and like pull a Bruce Willis, where he's like, I'm Bruce Willis. Who are you replacing me with? Like
that's true. Yeah,
like, that's it. But the rest of them, they come in and be like, all right, so Diana, what you're gonna do is you're gonna just strip off all your clothes and flash them as your big finisher move, and she'll just be like, okay, money, But Batfleck is the only one who's gonna stand back and be like, well,
yeah,
I got 2 Oscars. Like, I think that's a no.
Well, the one Jason Momoa, he's in Game of Thrones. That's pretty big.
Yeah, for half a season.
It's only half a season?
Yeah, he died in the first season.
Spoiler alert! I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, he died.
I don't care.
Or maybe he died at the beginning of the end of the first season.
Interesting. I thought he was still like an ongoing man.
No, he died like way early on. Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
So like on season 7, he's been dead for 6 seasons.
Oh. Yeah. I assume all the Game of Thrones fans knew that, so no spoiler alert.
Yeah, no, trust me, they all know.
In the ongoing shit show that is the Batman saga and DC in general, Batman negotiations break down with director Matt Reeves.
Sorry, make my point. I believe that Batfleck, because of his reaction, is completely wanting to do this. That's why I'm like, I 100% believe this. Like, yes, I totally agree. I think you're wanting to leave. Yeah. I can see both things, but yeah, I believe he wants to leave. Yeah.
Okay, Batman negotiations break down with director Matt Reeves. If you don't remember, last week, after it was reported that Ben Affleck wouldn't be directing the movie anymore, it was immediately, like, in the same, like, report, it was like, they're looking at Matt Reeves to replace him as a director. And it was like, oh, okay, they're on top of that, I guess,
Yeah.
Breaks down, alright. A studio source confirms that negotiations have broken down. The possibility, however, exists that talks could resume when heads cool.
Oh my god.
Right? Like, what does that mean? The studio is intent on making the movie no matter what, as the Batman franchise has proven to be bigger than one person. Reeves is currently deep in post-production on the Planet of the Apes sequel, War for the Planet of the Apes, which is shaping up to be the biggest entry in the Fox franchise. And then it goes on to say Ben Affleck was sent to Helmet, blah, blah, blah. So, like, resume when heads cool. Like, what were they fighting about? You think that's a big opportunity? Like, do you want to direct the Batman? He's like, oh yes. And then he comes out of the fucking room just heated and like just mad.
Yeah.
What did they say?
And it's the thing. You'd have to try and like make it up. But like, what are they getting so mad about? If he got in and there's like one guy really likes Batman, I guess, because he came in. He's like, well, we're gonna make Batman's costume pink. We're gonna do the full rainbow costume Batman. The rainbow. You remember the cover rainbow? And he's just like, he just walks out. He's like, fuck this shit. Fuck these guys. What are they trying to do?
He's like, well, it's going to be mostly a Jared Leto movie. And like,
I think there's like this one person who is like, what's that? The mutant from Goonies.
Oh, Sloth.
Sloth, who's like maybe like the owner's son or something who he's been put in charge of this, and no one's talking about it. And it's the one who comes in and keeps making the dumb DC decisions, and like all they're trying to do is like distract him with like binkies and toys while they try and write the script before he comes over and looks at it. Because like, who is the one that's making the decisions that is seriously making the stupid changes? Because like, you've got all the people in these movies, all the talent, right? You've got the writers, the directors, the actors, the people, all the setup. Like the essential components are there to make DCU into what the Marvel U is, right? Who is it that keeps standing up and pissing these people off?
Yeah.
Who comes in and it's just suddenly like, and then Batman decides that he's just going to give up his ways and decides to marry the Joker, and you're like, what? Who's that person?
But yeah, like the Flash has lost 3 fucking directors now.
Yeah.
That's going to be in development hell for a while. Batman's losing 2 directors.
Who's pissing them all off?
I know, it doesn't make any sense.
Is it a team of 5 people who just don't leave the table and are just really mad now?
Yeah.
They're like all strapped to their chair in the fucking Universal Studios.
Do you think as the
I can't leave, so you don't get to make what you want.
Do you think as like the ship is sinking on DC? Like, or it's not sinking ship and they're not making money, but just like morale is pretty low for DC movies right now.
Oh yeah.
Do you think as like that is going down and down, like the people there are getting more and more worried, so they're trying to have even more creative control? They're really trying to be like, well, we gotta fucking like we really, and the director, if the director's not on board to have like a complete like, well, we'll be looking over your shoulder every step of the way because we want to make sure that, and they're just like, nope, like can't do it that way.
Yeah, no, totally. I think with the fact that all the money invested into this could turn into a failed franchise, and that they won't achieve what's happened with Marvel and Kevin Feige's amazing work, is obviously a big thing. And yeah, I'm guaranteeing you that they're sitting back going, you know, like, this has to be a financial success. This is what we think is going to make it, right? Mm-hmm. And they're just rhyming off lists. They're like, you know, oh, in this one Marvel movie, they liked, you know, the Guardians a lot, so, you know, comedy and shit, you know?
Yeah, no, it's just so weird. Speaking of weird, Suicide Squad 2, Warner Brothers wants Mel Gibson to direct it. Mel Gibson!
What a drastic change in tone.
So, no, but it's not even, though, because Mel Gibson makes serious fucking movies. He makes Passion of the Christ and makes, what's that one he just made? Hacksaw Ridge. Yeah. Very serious movie. David Ayer, before this, he made that one with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf and Fury. Yeah. And that was a very serious war movie. Again. Very good. And they're for their Suicide Squad movie, where they're trying to be lighthearted and... Anyways, Mel Gibson also, he talked... I tweeted about this. Like, he slammed superhero movies just not that long ago. Like, 4 months ago. He said, like they're all, you know, shit or whatever the fuck. He had some statement about, like, how they're all wearing spandex and, like, it's a bunch of, like, shallow nonsense or whatever.
Everyone forgot when he got drunk in his car and yelled about Jews?
I think with his new movie, Hacksaw Ridge, just society in general seems to have forgiven him. He was on, like, the shit list for a long time, and now it's been long enough that collectively it just seems like, oh, it's okay again. You know what I mean?
You make a good movie and no longer it's okay to be anti-Semitic?
Nope. I don't think that, and I think that he must have been forgiven before that, before he made the good movie.
For what?
What do you mean, what? For what?
What did
it's just been long enough, I think.
That's not a reason.
No, I don't think it's a good reason either.
If someone came up to me and was just like, stupid fag, I wouldn't be like, you know, 2 years later, he's still cool. Like... he did have an apology. I don't believe his apology, but yeah. No. And besides, he still is, like, stupid crazy.
I never believe celebrity apologies. They only do it because they have to, because there's so much pressure. There's no reason to believe them. Mm-hmm. You know, they just have to go, they're on a podium, and they say, like, I'm very sorry for the thing I said. I found God, and, like, okay. Like, I get it. Like, don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never believe it. But, yeah, no, you're totally right. This is just a fucking weird move, though. Anyway, apparently he is, reading source material to see if this is something he'd like to do, but Warner Brothers is, like, heavily pursuing him. They're just sending him every fucking Task Force-esque comic they ever got. Like, hey, you can fucking read it. It's real good.
You know, it's gonna, because after, what is it, Apocalypto, the other one he did, and then Passion of the Christ, like, he's gonna have, like, Jokers strung up and sacrificed.
yeah, he's gonna be, I mean, look, I'm all for this to happen. Like, Suicide Squad can't get much worse, so it can only go up from here, right? We're all hoping. Or it could be the same. And Mel Gibson, for all his flaws, seems to make good movies, at least, at this point, right? So.
Oh, God. Apocalypto was a piece of shit. And
I've never seen Apocalypto.
Was there another one he did? Somewhere in there? Like
Braveheart.
Was that him?
He was in that. I don't know. It was actually...
No, he was in Braveheart. He was a good actor for Braveheart and Lethal Weapon.
Was he the voice of a dragon?
No, that was Sean Connery.
Right!
Yeah, for Dragonheart.
Dragonheart! Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Never mind.
Again,
Never mind.
Braveheart,
Yeah.
Dragonheart.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking of. That's where I was going.
But I thought he did another one where it was about like cavemen or something, or like something. He did another bad one like that.
What I know is that Mel Gibson starred in What Women Want.
Oh,
A fantastic movie that aired on TBS for about 4 years straight, it seemed like. I never once sat down to watch that movie, but I've seen the entire thing. Like, it would just be on.
I've never seen the whole thing.
Over the course of 2-3 years, whenever, because they just have days where it was just like, we're only playing What Women Want today. And you're like, nobody asked for this. But just like through it, I've seen like parts of the middle, and then like, a little bit after that, and then the beginning, and then like the end, He gets like, he's in a bathtub and he gets like zapped by a
toaster.
Something like that, like lightning hits him. He'd be dead, but all of a sudden he could just hear women's thoughts. It's a stupid fucking movie. Yeah, that's a real bad one. But that's what I usually think about Mel Gibson when I think about
There's
him.
a genre that does actually kind of need a new revamp. Is the romantic comedy, because like all of those tropes, it's usually like men are so sexist, but now they understand women, or woman goes through crisis of some kind, right? Like pregnancy or who knows what.
I just got a text from my partner, who's probably in the other room listening. She said, only good movie he's ever done. Probably in reference to What Women Want.
Is this the only good movie he's ever done?
Yes.
Only one.
Only one.
Oh.
Only one. That's it.
Screw Braveheart.
Yeah, fuck Braveheart.
Is that in the critically acclaimed award-winning role?
No, fuck Passion of the Christ. I've never seen it, but apparently that's good.
Well, to Christians.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're people too. I hear. Okay, moving on. Get into the gaming news.
It's a good move on, because like, we're not going to get on that.
No, not at all. All right. Kotaku. Oh, this is actually just a clear up from last week. We reported on Destiny 2, and part of that we were worried because there was a whole rumor about Activision was going to get part of Bungie's shares if they didn't release in time, and we were worried about a rushed product because of that.
Yeah.
Bungie came out and made a statement. Bungie has denied that this is the case, telling Kotaku, there is no scenario where Activision or any other partner we work with is awarded Bungie stock. This contradicts the account of two sources we spoke to prior to publication of this story. It's possible we got our wires crossed or we're misinformed. We're poking around to see what happened there, but we know that this information had been floating around both externally and internally at Bungie. We apologize for the confusion, and we'll defer to Bungie's account on this one.
It does seem a bit extreme, like the fact that like a company like Bungie would have to sacrifice that much. Like that's extreme.
I thought it was surprising too, which I'm glad that isn't the case. So I hope that it isn't a rushed thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's what we were saying, right? Like Destiny 2 has. Because like the current fan base is a little actually heavily disgruntled with the game itself. I haven't
been in that community now for like 2 years, so
I keep up on it just because I'm always curious like what they're patching and what they made as changes and differences that actually made the game either better or worse. And every time I hear something, I'm like, why was that the change you made? And they are like every change, I'm like, good God, you're not doing what you need.
You're not
to
listening.
Do. Yeah, you're not listening, and they still never really quite listened to what the fans were wanting from that game. Again, it was just a small team with not enough investment into the first one. So that's the thing about 2 is that 2 would be the same thing if they didn't get enough time to do this correctly. Like, the story that was written around Destiny and its entire history by that original writer was incredible work, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they sold it for. Remember, a year before it ever came out, they're all about like this story-driven, exploration of world, and like we're gonna spend a whole year exploring all these places and all that stuff. Now that writer went away, and they didn't have the stories anymore.
So they just put them on a bunch of cards on a website, and they're like, "You could read this online." Like, I would never fucking do that.
No, but that's my thing. Is like they've got to execute that now at this time, and
totally
to be rushed through. Because again, like you and I are saying, we are hopeful that they could recapture us with something more.
Absolutely.
And
I would love to. Destiny was a lot of fun when I played it.
Oh yeah, and a quick list of a few things that you just do. Make the superpowers more than just shoot a thing and then throw a grenade. Give me some real powers.
Hey, you could slam the ground as a Titan.
No, but that's what I mean. It was like you had your super, you had your grenade, whatever grenade you chose, and it was like 4 grenades, right? And they all had effects after you upgraded them. That was it, right? And then they all had a different melee charge ability, which really at the end of the day wasn't the hugest thing in the universe, right? And it doesn't have to be that they have more powers. Like they have to have like 4 supers and 4 grenades all at once, and they're just like everyone's just going like blah. This is explosions. I just mean make it feel, and I've done this in a previous podcast way back when. It's just make it feel much more mystical whenever anything happens, right? Make the warlocks like maybe hover a little bit or something, or Make sure there's more crackle of energy when they do stuff. Because like when they did the new Stormcaller class and like the way that they did their melee strike was like this like lightning bolt, like 2 hands out. That communication alone was way better than just this one hand going pa, pa,
Yeah.
pa, pa, right? Like make a few different motions, make a few different energy interactions, a couple of things like that, right? Different jumping mechanics. So you had the one blink, right? But then after that, everyone else basically had the exact same jump at the end of the day. You know, make some different little altercations, make the movement styles different, etc. So just give me the visual interactions.
Yeah, make them a little more unique.
So that I feel like I've got a truly superpowered character. Because, like, in that game, I have no reason to believe other than the fact that they're basically immortal. Guardians have anything better to do than anyone else in the world. You know, so it's like, okay. Second thing was, they had amazing weapons in the release. Like the Thorn, that was like an interesting weapon, and it was like this dark, like half mutated gun that shot like basically poisonous bullets. You know, there was the Vex missile class, which was like a fusion rifle, but it shot out one laser beam shot, and it looked really cool.
I like that one. Yeah.
Different guns felt like the exotics felt like these super weapons, and their effects, even though they spent most of the game trying to like debuff them to make them fair.
Yes.
They felt like super weapons, right? The infamous rocket launcher there that shot out all those wolf rounds.
Gallahorn.
And
Icebreaker.
But everyone ever since then after that was basically just like, here's a sniper rifle that might hit harder for one shot. That was like an exotic.
Yeah, and that's no good. Yeah.
No good.
Yeah, I like it feeling a little overpowered.
Yeah.
And if it's the case that like you don't want multiplayer to be unbalanced, make some weapons off limit for multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't have the Gallahorn because it's a heat seeker or something. You know, something like that. Like
yeah. And do what you did basically with the Thorn. They didn't really do a good job balancing it. That's why it was like spent so long being overpowered. But like make its tick like 1 hit of damage at a time, and then that way like you're like, oh, that's too weak. We'll do 2 hits of damage at a time. Okay, too much. 1.5. Like that's a good little buff change and stuff. Don't make them go in when someone's got like a Gallahorn and be like, I can fire this off, and it fires off 200,000 extra rounds that do 200 damage each. I can just kill everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like just.
No, I agree. Mike has very strong opinions about Destiny. He always has. I remember
because it's got that potential.
Yeah, I totally agree. I just remember even like back in the day when we were both starting playing it, we were having a draw session. We were at school and we were just having coffee, drawing with everyone, and then we went outside to have like a cigarette or something, and like you just like we ended up chain smoking. I'm pretty sure, and you just like were just going off about like fucking Destiny. There's like just ranting about like all the things that like it would be so much better if they could just this and this and this and
like they did.
And you're not wrong. That's the thing.
They did 75% of the work on everything, so it wasn't like 75% of the work on the story was done and the rest sucked. It was 75% of the work of the mechanics was done. 75% of the work was done to perfection, like of the shooting mechanics. 75% of the jumping mechanics, like everything was almost perfection. And then because the team basically dissolved and broke up due to whatever happened during production for that last phase, they just stopped at 70% and launched. When if they just put in that 25% on everything else, it would have been a literal perfect game.
Yeah, it would have been real good.
And that's why it frustrates me, and I always keep talking about it.
Yeah, no, Mike's very passionate about Destiny. I can understand that. Yeah. All right, next up, Quantic Dream, the David Cage company, has finished mocap footage for Detroit Become Human.
What does I think that means in the level of production, though? Like
that's what I was wondering too. I was under the impression that like from what they'd showed a bunch of different scenarios that like seemed pretty fleshed out. And I thought this was a this year game. Technically, I think it's still like 2017.
Yeah.
But if they're just finishing mocap now, I was like, oh, are you guys way further back in production than I thought?
Well, I mean, it's not a heavy mechanics game because it's just like guy walks in a room, you walk him around, and you interact with shit. Mm-hmm. It's what we're calling the choose of your own adventure because we still don't have proper genres.
Yes.
But it's basically that. So I don't think it's anything too complex for them to have to program around, right? They just need the actions and the actors.
Yeah, and then clean up some of the mocap footage with animation and stuff. And
yeah, I don't know what, because like I haven't been in the animation side for so long. Back in the day, the mocap had to happen first before you stuck that rig onto a model. But I know the process now is actually very different. It's kind of flipped almost. Like you render
like the last thing I heard about mocap was someone talking about fucking like Lord of the Rings, which was 12 years ago at this point or something, right?
Well,
but it was about like we got the mocap footage and then we took it in and then we had to like reanimate because it was too smooth and too weird for the mocapping, so we had to like take out stuff and like reanimate it a little bit.
Well, I went to Montreal to look at a couple of mocap studios with a friend, a business partner, for a couple of just like they're like, hey, do you want to see the mocap studio? And that stuff was doing literally like you put the stuff on and it would actually move the model around, and it was the fully finished model.
Well, we saw for Last of Us 2, we watched that like behind the scenes thing.
Yeah,
and
that was actually, and they were saying like this is now that makes us that we can actually use the mocap in the studio, because we don't have to, like beforehand they had to book the actor, get the actor in, get them the mocap, and then finally we could move on to production work. And until it happened, we were on a stall. So this new technology, letting them actually literally just move the models and stuff, means you could do all the pre-production work, all the models, all the building, all the world building, everything done, and then mocap, and you could just take that and polish it into the game.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, that's cool.
So,
well, and this article says, no release date for Detroit Become Human has been announced yet, but since the team has finished up shooting motion capture, the game might be closer to release than we thought. So
yeah, so I think it's probably, that's the thing. Like we were thinking about it in the old days, where like you had to do mocap first.
Yeah, that's what
that would be the worst. But I don't think that's the case anymore, because the technology now lets you literally just record into a live model that's done.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
Textured, good to go.
I'm really looking forward to that game.
I am too. The visuals alone are
yeah.
stunning. But like best sci-fi.
It seems like a really cool like morality story with like all the fucking androids around there and shit. And like,
I gotta ask though, why every design with robots? Why do we keep making their blood blue?
To show their, I have to imagine it's just a very basic visual thing that's like, so when an audience sees it, it's like, oh, it's not red. They're different.
It doesn't have to be red.
They're different.
But like, I was just thinking, like,
I wouldn't have understood.
As a concept artist, just to think, right? And you're like, what would be inside their machines, right? Like, what kind of chemicals do they run on, right? There aren't a lot of blue chemicals.
Well, unless sci-fi, Mike. It's fucking crystalite. Kryptonite. It's crystalline. That's what it is.
It's just liquefied crystal meth.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's just the Breaking Bad stuff.
That's the Breaking Bad stuff. It just got turned into blood for the... There's homeless men outside, like, attacking androids. Oh, God. Oh, God.
That would be a great storyline.
That's great. It would be cool.
There's a problem with our homeless population attacking the androids, all this shit.
It's like this kind of, like, reverse vampire shit going on.
You could call the game Reverse Vampire. That's great. Sorry, what were you going to say? Yeah, what do they run on and everything?
Yeah, but like, I mean, it's the first liquid you're going to come up with. You just look up, like, what they're currently using.
Oil.
Or whatever.
I honestly think it's just a basic visual cue that's like initially, so when an audience sees it, they're like, oh, red. It's not red.
It's a very common one that we use. We always use it, so we immediately attach it to robot blood. It's like blue blood or something like that. And I guess because it's a brighter color, it's easier just to pick up on, like if you think cinematography-wise. If you're going to do some clear viscous fluid, like they'd just be like, oh, are they sweating? Oh, they're actually hurt.
Yeah, it's like it's just very clear visual, right? People get it.
I just always found that when they did white, it was always more shocking to me.
Oh, like the android from Alien?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Him puking milk scarred me as a child. I still think about that scene. Yeah, absolutely.
But there's lots of other ones where they use white as the blood, and it's actually
I think white is the more disturbing. It's a more
pure,
like, oh, what is that?
It's a pure, like, white liquid seems pure, like soap and clean, and white is a clean color.
Oh, man, and it grosses me out more. That's what it is.
That's because it is. Because the color and the representation of thick white is a clean.
Yeah.
It represents, like, all the soft things, white sheets, clean things, soap.
Clouds.
Everything, like a fluffy lamb, it doesn't matter. It's always the pretty color. It's never tied with, and right, black is dirty and gross, right? Yeah. So, like, seeing that as an injury, I think is always more shocking.
No, I agree with you. It's a good point, actually. That's, the white stuff, yeah. The white stuff. Anyway,
I guess maybe the whole alien android thing might be was that trademarked?
Oh, yeah, could be. Or they just want to be cribbing too much from that.
That's the thing. Like,
everything's influenced by aliens, so, yeah. Anyways, looking real forward to that game. Me and Mike are big fans of the last two games they did. Heavy Rain and the other one. Beyond Two Souls. Yeah. You liked Beyond better than Heavy Rain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like Heavy Rain a little better than Beyond.
I
like them both, though.
I hated the ending for Beyond Two Souls, which made me dislike the game when I got why everyone else was all like, blah. Because, like, the first 3 quarters, I was hooked. And also a weird Indian section.
That whole section is for me was a little bit like, oh, they're really gonna play into something different here. They're gonna do like the whole like mystical Indian trope, but like they're gonna do it different.
Yeah, they just did it. It drew me out just literally for each other. They're just like, ka-chunk.
Yeah, I was like, it's like you think that they're gonna like play with your expectations, and then they don't at all. Yeah.
They just did she was walking down the road, and then she just fell through into an alternate dimension and fell back out, and she's like, oh,
that was weird and racist.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
But for me with Heavy Rain, the reason why I didn't click to that one quite as much was just I felt it wasn't I didn't have as much selection as I wanted to make things happen. It just felt very much like, accomplish this correctly. You know.
No, absolutely. And that was their first stab at that, too. So, yeah.
Beautiful game, so.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm enjoying it. I want to see where the evolution takes them, you know. They're very good at that. Maybe they can actually outdo Until Dawn. Take that, David Cage. All right, next up.
Promotion for you to make more.
Tabata talks Final Fantasy 15 story imbalances and the team's unconventional decisions. So he was asked about stuff like, spoilers for Final Fantasy 15 if you haven't played it, skip ahead like 5 minutes. Beginning of the game, when they find out that, what's the fucking town called? The main one, where Noctis is from.
Oh, Insomnia.
Insomnia. When they find out Insomnia was attacked, they literally find out in a hotel from like a paper or radio or something, and it's not like the typical, like, you see the scene of it happening and they hear about it. It's just like, oh no, it was attacked, and you're like, oh, you know, like that.
Like, you should have watched the movie. Oh.
Yeah, a lot of people had a problem with that because they were like, it seemed very anticlimactic for his hometown to be destroyed, and he just found out through a paper, and we don't see it.
Can never actually get back to the town to even see the wreckage of the town or anything like that. Even when you look at it from afar, you just see ships flying over top of it.
Yeah,
and you never get the experience of like how epic this town was, because like in the movie and even in the last little segment at the end, it's like this extremely advanced, technologically advanced, clean civil like. It has everything. It has shops and stores. Demons aren't a problem. Blah blah blah. You know, like it's a beautiful place. So you never felt like this pure, beautiful, incredible city fell down. You're just like, that was a cool place. Was it? I never
That's
got
what
to
I've
go.
heard.
Was it cool?
Yeah,
it was really cool. It's gone.
Like, you're told to care because Noctis cares, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is. So, speaking with Game Informer, director Hajime Tabata says the narrative direction was entirely intentional, namely the important events that happened off-screen. It was for players to experience the stories through Noctis' eyes. The world and the events that Noctis sees are merely things that are seen through his eyes. We didn't want to create a comprehensive and perfectly balanced story in this game. An odd thing to say.
That's a weird thing.
Instead, we placed importance...
We'll blame that on translation.
Instead, we placed importance on the main characters and for the player and Noctis to share the same experience when we tell the story. I would believe that if not for, like, the cutaways of Luna just fucking healing people. Yeah. Like, when Noctis didn't see that. That was just a cutaway where she was healing random people for no reason.
Yeah, or cutaways even to the villains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like, again, that's fine. He can say whatever reason he wants. I don't personally believe that, really.
You gotta give these guys a little bit of credit, though, right? Like, they've been through 10 years of development hell, trying to put this together. They slapped together whatever they could, and then eventually coalesced it into something that was turned into a really strong whole, and it was a good game.
Totally, and that honestly doesn't bother me that much, the whole thing, but it was one of those things where like, oh, that's a bit weird.
No, it bothered me only a little bit because other people kept asking me when I was going like, I'm loving the game so much, and they're all like, is the beginning supposed to be so confusing? And I'm like, you actually have to literally stop right now and go watch an hour and a half of anime and an hour-long bad movie about a giant octopus.
Enjoy.
Like,
and then you can enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any finishing thoughts on that?
Just... You know, let's move on, and like now that they've gotten their steam back on, and hopefully they can put a good, proper, non-broken production of 4 years behind Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy Remake.
Yes.
Let's just look forward to the reinvigorated franchise. Thankfully, that they pulled this off somehow. Like there was so much to not let them make this even into an approachable game at all.
Oh yeah,
and they made it into an epic hit. So, way to go. Move on.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Next up, this is the last story we have. Sony Santa Monica's canceled new IP has a major concept art leak. Alright, so this was this is the God of War team, and they were working on this before the current iteration of God of War.
The guys do beautiful work for every for every God of War and the new God of War and this, apparently. Great work.
Oh yeah, they have fantastic work, and it's a little sad that they didn't get a new IP off the ground. It actually came to light, I want to say last year, that there was a rumor about a canceled IP from them, that it got canceled internally or whatever, blah blah. But a load of fucking concept art got leaked, like a metric fuck ton. I'll put some on the screen for you, but and I'll link it in the show notes. But I can't possibly put all of it on there. But here's what we know: the information that we collected. It was a futuristic game, maybe set in 2034. It could be about world exploration. Some characters take part in a mission called Arc Mission Genesis AD 2034.
That's a word.
That is a word. Some characters, the names are August, Donovan, and Nighthorse. There are some strange humanoid creatures, aliens, similar to mutant fishes.
Wait, what? Sorry, do that line again.
There are some strange humanoid creatures. Aliens?
Fishes?
Oh, and similar to mutant fishes.
That's a lot of line of thinking. Going, aliens, question mark.
Human?
Human.
Alien?
mutant
Fish.
mutant fishes. Mutant fishes. So it's like they are aliens, but they're also mutated aliens into fish, which are an earthbound thing. That's an excellent trifecta.
That's like a Shane Black sentence.
Yeah. It's suburbs, but downtown, but also not in downtown and suburbs, but maybe not also on 44th and 6th.
It's a Western. There's a group of refugees and mercenaries. There are drones. There's a kraken-like creature. Enemies could be skeletal monsters with long arms. Also that. There are creatures similar to dinosaurs, and you could scan new creatures for information about DNA and origin. And there are a lot of uniforms. The game is canceled at the moment, and many developers have left Sony Santa Monica for this reason. It was in incubation for 2 years, and later the character concept art team was in full production. Oh, okay. So you can look over this here if you want to.
I've seen it. Yeah,
lean a little bit. Yeah, there's a fuck ton of stuff here. I'm assuming this is the weird like fish mutant race.
I'm guessing so.
There's some really cool stuff in here. Particularly, my favorite one was the giant. What the fuck is this?
Hopefully these are all popping up on the YouTube version of the.
I'll edit them all in. There's like fire breathing like. What the fuck is?
There's some really interesting creative stuff, but this is what I mean by weird contrasting pieces. Like when it comes down to like them being like mutant something, they really did merge it together. But the God of War team is the only one that I've ever known to actually pull this stuff off really well. Like if you look at their designs for like the different gods and shit like that, there's so much crazy crap that they came up with.
Oh yeah, they're always like super creative, and it's always like it's almost like disheartening to see what didn't make it into God of War games. This thing's fucking dope. Jesus, and that's not even the one. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, it's bottom right here. It's like a brachiosaur with like a giant kraken face. I wonder if this is like a
anglerfish.
Yeah, and the head's just a fucking decoy.
Basically, for those who are listening, the image is basically a water line, and you can see underneath the water and above, and what's sticking out over top is like a brachiosaur, long neck, or brontosaur. Head sticking out of the water, but then under the water is attached to a much larger, like krakeny beast mouth head with like tentacles and shit.
It's like a giraffe whale squid.
Apparently, merging many things into one is a theme for this game.
Yeah, really cool. These are some kind of generic looking skeletal things.
Yeah, it's some great stuff, and I highly suggest you guys check it out. I always love early concept art. I love the ideation and product engine before stuff.
There's always such a wonder about early concept art like this when you don't actually get to see like game shots at all. You're just like, wow, what could have been? You know, your mind is just fucking wandering. You know.
Well, it's the best part. It's the best part of the job is to be stuck in the back there where you're in the very beginning where they're basically just going, you know, aliens. A mystic sci-fi alien action game, right? And then like start creating, and give you a general script, which is very open to edit. So like you're just working off of general themes, right? That's the best point, because then after that, that's when your directors get in and they're like, you know, oh, needs a blue scarf. Nope, needs to have less spines.
We're intent on the blue scarf.
Yeah. And then he's like, you know, when we were looking at Ryan Lang's work from the Schoolism Workshop, and he's like, I created this thing where Doctor Strange makes an impossible triangle to trap someone in. Too magic-y.
Yeah.
Like, you're like,
dopest idea you ever seen.
Dopest idea ever. And you're just like, no, what? Fuck. Oh.
Yeah.
And you had stuff with the cape you liked.
Yeah, that's some MCS-ass shit.
What was it that you liked about the cape and that you saw in his work that was so cool?
Oh, there's his little animatics that he had where Doctor Strange was like, it was going before him and like making him like do a dodge roll, and it was like Doctor Strange. It was the secondary motion rather than the full motion.
It was initiating.
Yeah, like the cape was doing everything for him, and there was some of that in the movie, but not nearly as cool as what he had. That's the thing, you know. The cape did have a lot of cool moments, but it just wasn't on the level of like. Yeah. They really like dumbed it down.
Yeah, they made it more like really draggy and Yankee, and like he's not cooperating with it yet, which I guess was supposed to be like they wanted to cover more, like he wasn't used to it.
Yeah,
because if he just stuck the thing on and it started doing all that.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it was just it was so cool that I was like that's a great idea, and I could see like where they'd taken that and like put it into the film. But yeah, I mean, in future they could totally do stuff like that when he's more acquainted with his cloak.
It's interesting with this product though for what's the name of the studio again?
Sony Santa Monica.
Sony Santa Monica is that. They put all this work in, they put 2 years into it, and there's not real... Do we have information as to why it got canceled?
None whatsoever.
Yeah, but the thing is, if they did cancel it and then people left, because like I've had people on studios where projects are canceled, it happens a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, there's so many games you don't even know exist. The fact that they evacuated and then will like leak this, like, it's not a happy circumstance.
Again, yeah, the news came out that, you know, it got canceled last year sometime, I want to say, and we just didn't know anything about it, so it wasn't really much of a story. It was like, something you never saw isn't going to exist, and everyone was like, okay. But now it all leaked. So yeah.
Because I caught for the internet. Because what else would you do as a concept artist? And you have it all on paper. You're just gonna like copy it at like Zincos and suddenly like fly a plane over a town and just start spreading the letters on paper everywhere.
The people need to know. They need to know about the mutant fish race.
Alien, mutant fish, horn,
Greg,
brontosaurus, kraken,
draft whale.
He's just driving by while he's throwing stuff out, and he's just screaming that out the window. This is the paddy wagon pulling
Hell,
up
that might have been they might have well done that with fucking Shadow of the Tomb Raider. All right.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, no, the next Tomb Raider game.
Oh yeah,
the one that leaked on the bus. or that other thing that leaked. I think it was a Halo game that was like a USB on a park bench.
Yeah, that was random circumstance, but
that one's so fucked though that like someone with the knowledge of the video game industry on like the biggest gaming forum in the world was like, hey guys, look what I found. It's like of all the odds, like that was so slim. It could have been literally anyone that found that, just popped it in and was like, whatever, we're gonna wipe it, got a free USB. You know?
Would have been better with the Tomb Raider one. Is like he's like working on his laptop and no one sees it, but he's got like a projector hooked up to his laptop, like on the back, and he just hits the button and it goes and puts it on the wall. This big thing.
Oops.
He's like, oops. You know what? At least it wasn't my porn.
Or the other leak that was really funny, that was a guy on a plane, the Assassin's Creed one.
It's in the papers, this quote. A Tomb Raider developer leaks all footage on projector on subway. Quote, at least it wasn't my porn.
The Assassin's Creed guy was like, he was on a plane, I guess he was working on something.
Yeah.
Someone beside him was like, oh, Assassin's Creed? I like Assassin's Creed. And he was like, oh, he's like, I actually work on Assassin's Creed. And he was probably like, let me give this youngster like a little look into the next game. And the guy went on NeoGAF again, biggest gaming forum in the world, and was like, guys, you'll never guess what I know about fucking Assassin's Creed. No one believed him, and then when it came out, like the actual information came out, everyone was like, holy shit. Anyways, next up, the next segment, we're going to talk about Mass Effect, and there's a fucking topsy-turvy quest it's brought us on. Hello, and welcome back to the Pens and Pixels podcast, second segment, the Mass Effect Andromeda hype segment.
This is us talking about Mass Effect, because it's coming up in about a month. A little more than a month?
Yeah, just over a month, like a month and a half away.
About a month and a half away. And this whole ride has been very interesting to get up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been your usual game release.
No, and I feel like for the first year of the podcast, me and Mike would not stop talking about Final Fantasy 15.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally came out, and it was a big deal for us, and we did it, you know, and it occurred. And Mass Effect was such a mystery that entire time. We would talk about it a lot, but
we had that whole actual cast about that rumor. There was like a giant page of the rumors and stuff.
Yeah.
It was all true, actually, at the end of the day, too.
Yeah, exactly.
But the funny thing is that, oh my god, the studio.
BioWare.
BioWare launched a new studio in Calgary, in Canada, and that was the studio, and it was huge. It's a huge place. A gorgeous studio in a bad city. Or Edmonton, sorry, that's why it was a bad city. No, sorry, Edmonton. Edmonton's a nice place. It's a weird place to drop a studio. That's what I mean by like a bad city. Okay, I see. Like it's isolated and far away from everyone else, and now like the rest of everyone's kind of like going like, wow, you're way the heck over there. Like we're all put somewhere else. Yeah. But beautiful studio. Anyways, they got assigned to do the whole thing, and then they came out and were saying like, yep, Mass Effect 4, which didn't have a title at the time, is totally in the works, and we're working on it here. Like they told us, we're literally at this one spot. This whole studio is just doing Mass Effect, and we're all like, it's real, you know? Nothing, zero, just not even a screenshot.
Yeah, like for the longest time.
For the longest time, nothing, and then what was the first one? It was at E3, and it was just it was just a name that came up. Yeah, it was it was a very short CG trailer of a guy in a helmet in a desert, right. And it was some blasts were shot, and it was Mass Effect Andromeda, and we got the title, and we were like, woo! Silence for a year. Yeah. Then E3 the year after, they start off with Mass Effect Andromeda, and I remember just rubbing my hands together ooh, here it comes. Mm-hmm. It's fucking happening. And then it was one of those weird making of videos where it's some of the developers all gathered around a desk pointing at a screen, a stock photo, ha ha ha, yes, we're doing work. And then a model would rotate, and you see a fucking whatever, and then you're all right, and then it'd be Mass Effect Andromeda coming soon, and you're oh, come on.
come on, you guys are not talking about the game at all. You're just going radio silent after showing these trailers.
Yeah, literally, there would be nothing. No way to hype us up, no clue on what was happening with it, and all the information was circumstantial in interviews.
Yeah, it was just, they'd say things, loyalty missions will be back. You're like, okay.
Yeah, like, it'll be in space. And you're like, oh.
Rest assured.
Good.
Yeah, and then
they had the 4K trailer tech demo.
So I think and then at E3 this year, they again had like a more substantial trailer, but it was still a little bit nothing. It was like kind of like cinematic, and they showed a lot of like environment shots and stuff, and it was like cool. And then we had N7 Day, and they were like,
when was the tech demo with the 4K tech demo? That was at a conference.
Was it before or after that? It might have been before. Yeah, they had this 4K fucking weird like gameplay demo. It was a
tech demo. It was just
them. It was to show off the PS4 Pro.
Yeah,
technically, but it was like, here's the first real footage of Mass Effect Andromeda.
I think it was at the PlayStation thing, because it was a PlayStation.
It was PlayStation. Yeah, it's Pro.
No, I know, but like the PlayStation Pro got announced at a PlayStation event. It was a Sony event where they announced the PlayStation, and that was part of that was to show off.
No, it was just a Pro thing. It was just a Pro thing.
Okay.
It was like here's what it is thing. It was a very underwhelming, shitty presentation. But Mass Effect, it was just like here's us walking through a purple environment, and you're like, this could be cool, I guess.
Yeah, it's neat. You have a jetpack and you can walk.
Yeah,
but I don't really get anything else.
But again, nothing to get excited over.
And even then, like what they were showing us was so beta. It was like the jetpack didn't even look. It looked wonky.
It was like, yeah, all right, cool.
And you're like, okay.
Then N7 Day rolls around, which is Mass Effect Day.
Yeah.
And they released like some really short, like kind of cool teaser, and they were like, look for more at the Game Awards, which is like a month or 2 months away, or no, like 2 weeks away at that point.
Yeah.
And you're like, why? Okay. So then they finally released like a pretty good trailer, as I recall, at the VGAs. Like,
it was our first look at like actual gameplay.
Yeah, it was like showed some story off and some like story beats and stuff, and you're like, okay.
Here's the website to go play on the online like.
And there was all this like doubt with the release date, because the March release date had leaked at that point, but no one knew if it was real or not. And then even after that, people were still unsure because we'd gotten such sparse information.
And there was no content to this point, none. Like there was just the tech demo, some panoramic shots of some environments, and a couple of weirdly shot gameplay footage of stuff that didn't really look very Mass Effect-y. It was just kind of like
there was that
sprawling battle, and you're just like, this doesn't.
It looked like someone who wasn't very good at playing the game, like in a fight, and it was like that's not the way to
spamming the same dash attack that didn't look like. I'm like, why am I dashing in Mass Effect? I shouldn't be dashing. I feel like I need to be more, like a space marine. This feels like I'm like a Superman. It feels odd, and it's very open and very like just lots of explosions and bodies flying. I'm not feeling my Mass Effect yet, and I kind of don't get it. And then again, there would just be nothing else.
The best thing they really did release, I don't know if you've been looking at these mics, but they have like the Andromeda initiative, quote unquote, and I've been doing them. I think they're only in the second one now, but they have these like little videos like trying to introduce you to the Andromeda Galaxy and what the initiative is. And if you do it, you get a fucking helmet at the end of it that you can link up your EA account.
What's
I guess
the second
Mass Effect. Same shit. It's just more preparing you for the Andromeda initiative. Like,
what's the reward?
No, a helmet is a reward for the whole thing. I thought it was just the reward for one segment. No. It's you need to do all 5 to get the helmet. I thought it was going to be like the initiative like outfit where you get a helmet and a chest piece and the arms and the legs, and no, it's not. You just get the helmet.
Oh.
Garbage. Anyways, but I've been doing them.
There's no content on the actual thing for the initiative, and actually watching all that is very cool.
It is. It's actually like the best thing they'd released up until now.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they just rolled out this cool-ass like combat trailer.
Yeah. So that actually, just before that, they did start leaking out little tiny videos without any like usually when they do a game thing, they're like, oh, here, we're going to do something like a Twitter blast or something, and then they put out a trailer or something like that.
Yeah.
Instead, it would just be like suddenly randomly a YouTuber would be like, hey, I have gameplay footage, an hour of it, and you're like, what?
They've been weird with this whole thing, because even on Twitter, they they've never officially said anything about a certain thing, and they'd be like, hey, can I fuck that alien? And the guy's like, yeah, of course. Yeah. And you're just like, well, why is this official information coming out of a random conversation on Twiiter with some nobody, like...
No announcements whatsoever. It's very odd, also, considering BioWare and their parent company, EA is usually, like, with every game, especially with the other Mass Effects, they're usually just, like, have everything about the game for 2 years before it even comes out.
Yeah, it's
like, they spam you with it.
It's a very haphazard rollout. It feels like they... weren't ready for the game to exist yet, or
like the studio in Edmonton is doing so well. They're like, Jesus Christ, these guys are too fast. ad campaign, and
that's there's some guy just like
they're like,
sitting
put the ship on a poster, put a name on it, go.
Someone just slides across his desk one day. It's like Mass Effect Andromeda, March 21st. It's fucking Is it February 2017? What day is it? How long do we... Is it done? Shit! Just like... Then he just starts... Just release it on Twitter. Just this video and that video.
Just like badly photoshopping together stuff, just sticking it on top.
Yeah. He starts answering questions on Twitter. Yeah, you can fuck that thing. Oh yeah. Oh yes. That's you can. Yes, you can do that. Like yes. It's just been a fucking weird rollout the entire way through.
Can we book major news outlets of any kind? Well, we can get you on like Good Morning Seattle. He just like still does one channel, Good Morning Seattle. He's like Mass Effect Andromeda.
Nobody listens to that.
No.
And even with like something like Final Fantasy 15, which was also like not a great rollout. At least they kept you updated. The developers would talk to you on those what are they called?
Active time reports.
Active time reports.
They kept you really up to date.
They're like, hey, we got an animation with an alligator just ripping Noctis apart. Here, look at this, and you're like, cool. Yeah. We also turned them into a frog, and you're like, at least this is cool. Yeah, you know, you had something to get excited about. But this was just like darkness for so long, barely acknowledging the game, and then now it's just like, here's a bunch of shit. It's coming out soon. We forgot. Sorry. Yeah.
So it's been really weird. So we haven't really gotten on the hype train. And then, yeah, you're right. Like now, today, Friday for us and Monday for the release.
Well, sorry. And their messaging, too, about this whole thing has been weird because they announced the original Mass Effect as a trilogy. They were like, Mass Effect is going to be a fucking trilogy. And we're going to do something you've never done before. It's going to have game choices carry over from game to game. And that's going to have a consequence. And this is going to have a consequence. And blah, blah, blah. And this one, they're like, Mass Effect Andromeda. And you're like, is there going to be another one? Will choices matter? And they're like, who knows?
They have made a statement about the fact that the franchise is continuing, but we don't know if Mass Effect Andromeda is going to be like Mass Effect Andromeda 1, Mass Effect Andromeda 2, Mass Effect Andromeda 3, finish that, and move on to a new triad of
someone higher up at EA is like, Mass Effect MOBA, you know, and like just goes off in that direction. It could be anything, right? I would hope that it's another trilogy, but
I'm pretty sure it's going to be. I'm sure they're going to continue this on.
That has to be the idea,
goal.
Right?
I'm sure that's the goal, and the series is going to go on as a franchise in some fashion. But there is that question about whether or not Andromeda is going to be a standalone game for this content that it is, and then they're just going to move on to something else. It would seem a little bit, considering how epic Mass Effect is, and suddenly they're like, you're in a whole new galaxy, but you finished that galaxy in one game. I barely did half of the other one in 3 in one game.
Well, I didn't even see all the Citadel in the other ones.
Yeah. I couldn't even walk on half the planets. I just kept shooting probes at it.
Probe launch.
And then they would tell me about what's going on.
Anyways, yes, so that combat trailer dropped, and it's life-affirming.
Yes. That's the thing. I opened it up before you came over to record today, and I put it on. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, let's see if that combat, because combat was one of my biggest worries for the game.
Yeah.
Right? I was really worried after seeing all the combat stuff. Like all of the city stuff looked amazing. The fact that the cities looked like cities and not just like there was just a citadel and a lot of barren planets. Like it looked like there was like life and all this stuff. So I was happy with that. And yeah, there was some weird animation and face ticks with the cutscene stuff. But whatever, this BioWare and Mass Effect, I can totally take that.
Mm-hmm.
But then the combat was my big worry because again, Mass Effect combat is where it's at. It was so much fun to play.
It was, for a game that had a lot going on, I felt it had like some of the best third-person shooting mechanics
ever
in all of games. You know, like there were games that specifically focused on third-person shooting, like something like Gears or Army of Two, and that didn't feel as good as Mass Effect 2 and 3. You know?
And it was a nice merge between the first person and the third person too, because like aiming and taking a shot would make it like into the gun, and it would really like make you feel like you're that person, because third person can feel very detached for some people. But playing third person and you're not just shooting at third person, but you could zoom in the first person, blah, blah, blah. Like, it had a nice incorporation.
Yeah, you're looking down the iron sights and stuff.
Yeah, it was a nice incorporation between them. But yeah, to see this trailer, and all of my fears just got elated, and I was just like, oh god.
It was my first time. It was finally my first time, like, getting, like, excited about the game, you know? Yes. Like, I wanted to be excited about it. It's Mass Effect. I'm already, my cautious optimism is like at an 8. Yeah. I'm like, yes, just vibrate and give it to me. But it was very hard to be excited about it up until this point.
Yeah.
But now seeing all these options in combat, it was just like, I was like, oh yes, this is yes, absolutely, this is what I want. Again, it's really affirming to me too that they finally showed like they showed some combat in one of those trailers where it was just like a wide open expanse of a planet, and you had like one giant monster rushing at you, and it's like that's fine. But
and
like,
you're like, I threw a grenade at it and then jumped backwards.
Yeah, but this is like, there's a battlefield going on. There's a giant robot in the middle, and guys flanking on both sides and coming down. I was like, this looks interesting. This looks like way more what I'm into.
And this is more of Mass Effect as well to me. Like I walk into the field and you see the guys like spurts out from a door or something, and you're like, I got to get the cover, and then like, take something out, and then I can move to another position.
And just the way they were demoing like each power, it looked like this could give a lot of options in different situations, and like you have a lot of ways to approach things, like which is part of the fun of Mass Effect, you know.
Yeah. So it's been interesting to see this rollout. I mean, like kind of like the first segment of the second segment, kind of like the excitement for everyone has been, like I was saying before, I think even just in the first half of the podcast, was like everyone's reaction isn't like, whoa, it's been like
tempered.
Okay, I still have faith in one of the greatest franchises ever, but I want something more. They've finally done it with this one, and it's not even like a
real like trailer.
No one announced anything. I didn't find it on a feed. It showed up because I click on Mass Effect enough on YouTube that it popped up into there and was like, you might like this, you know?
Yeah, I just saw it in a thread. I think a thread popped up, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, all right. And I almost didn't watch it because I was like, whatever. Like, it's gonna be. I was like, combat trailer. It's gonna be boring.
And I was like, oh, another combat trailer. So some sort of just them jumping around in some grass field or something.
Yeah, and like it was such a juxtaposition too, because I was so hyped by the images on screen, and the guy's monotone voice narrating it is just so like, and you can do this with this class, and it'll be like, you can do this, and I was like, it was so matter of fact, and I was just getting hyped about it. I was like, yes, this is what I need. I didn't want some guy being like, and then you can fucking throw a grenade. No, I don't care. I loved the voice. Like, it was great. It was fantastic.
Great.
All right, second segment of the second segment.
The second segment is what we are now officially hyped about, right? So like, what are we? What about this game coming in that has been added in now that we've seen this combat trailer and we've seen the combat fleshed out? What is it that we do actually like? What do we maybe don't like about it? And also, what have we seen that's not included? Right? Like what part of the combat, like basically what fears have been reaffirmed, like have been washed away. Like what were you worried about? And that now that you've seen this, what got cleaned up that you're no longer afraid of? And what are you still kind of afraid of? Right?
Well, the combat looks fun. It was the same worry.
It didn't look fun before.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was the same worry I had Final Fantasy 15. Like, such a large majority of this game is going to be fighting stuff. Yeah. You know, if it didn't feel good, if it didn't like look good, it was going to be a total waste. Even if the story was amazing and the conversations were great, it would have been a bummer to be playing 60% of this game being like, this shooting doesn't feel great, and it's kind of shitty. Yeah. But it looks amazing. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? I think something both of us are concerned about, and I haven't seen talked about for all the stuff we've looked at in this game. We haven't seen talked about was the commanding of your party.
Yeah, we haven't seen any commands kind of issued out, so that's definitely
because you used to be able to pause the gameplay and open up a wheel, and be like, Tally, use a.
I think you could even, it was even on a hotkey for some of the characters. You could just push a button and they would go and do their thing.
Yes, you could. Yeah.
Yeah, which it was usually just like one power or something, or focus that target. I think was just an option.
Yeah, there's a couple things on the wheel. I don't remember.
There's something on the wheel and things you could hotkey. It's just like bark orders. I don't think they're not going to include that.
That's the thing. Yeah, I can't imagine they'd take that out. It'd be weird.
Yeah,
unless the AI is just so good that, but it didn't look like it.
But I really do hope, because like we have all of these abilities and systems you can unlock for your characters. Now your side characters are going to be class specifically locked, obviously, because you have they name them. This is your biotic. This is your tech. So they're going to be class locked themselves, right? They're not going to be like you were. I mean, for some reason, apparently you're allowed to have everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Why are they just you're just like classes, and you're like, I lead. And you all peasants, you are a worker, you are a biotic.
I can use all the guns, and you look like you'd only be good with pistols. So that's all you get.
Yeah. And maybe a knife.
Yeah, exactly. And a sorry sword.
But yeah, I would assume they're going to allow you to have that, but I also want to know that you can upgrade them in a more elaborate way than you did in the other game, because in the other games it was just them leveling up, and then you could just unlock their abilities as they came.
Yeah, it was very simple.
Yeah. I want to have a little bit more customization on how well they build out.
It did look like there was a whole menu section, because they showed PB, the Asari squad mate with you, and it showed her menu, and it looked like she had a couple different. It almost looked like your own customization screen. So I'm thinking they're going to go a little more in depth, which might play into another worry. There's only 6 party members that we know of.
Yeah.
So maybe if there's more depth to each of them, like combat wise, maybe that's why they chose to tone it down for the size of the party.
Yeah, I mean, like, as for the party itself, I haven't looked at any of the characters and really been excited. Like, in the other Mass Effect games, like, when I saw Thane, I was like, oh, dude, that dude's my dude. And Garrus, I was like, oh, that dude's my dude. Picking, like, my romantic option, I was like...
Garrus actually earned his way into my heart when I played the first Mass Effect. He's just a C-Sec dude, and he was, like, one of the first party members you get, and a lot of times the first party member you get in an RPG is always like, I'm like, whatever, dude, you fucking suck. I don't care about you. Who gives a fuck about you? But like, Garrus earned his way into my heart by the end of the first game, and then the second game, and they're all the way through. Garrus, my bro.
None of these characters are grabbing me that way. Like, even like as romantic options, like I was looking at, like, by the time they allowed gay options in it, Kaiden was like the only option for me. He was like, he's designed pretty and perfect. He's the one I want, right? Because, like, in all the other BioWare games before Dragon Age Inquisition and Mass Effect 3, the only, like, homosexual option that was in, like, Dragon Age 1 was the really effeminate elf. And I'm like, why is that my own... Like,
but they let you fuck that bull man in Dragon Age Inquisition,
yeah, there you go. That's the thing. I was like, hey, if you want to have something a little bit more masculine...
Yeah, there you go. You get a giant demon bull.
Demon bull.
That's sick.
It's a dragon, actually. They're a half dragon.
I mean, they haven't said a bunch about the options. They've said, I think about romance, they did say they're more romanceable people than you think.
And they said that the interactions with them are also more complex than what they were before. So it's not just like... Because, like, romances with your team members in Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 were really complex. But then if you tried the romance of secretary, it was basically like one of 6 answers. And then after that, you could just go and do the 6th answer and keep having sex with her.
Oh, yeah, it was just... But yeah, she was just bone tapped.
And then she didn't have any other interactions. Like, most of the... Any time they were mentioned, it'd be like, well, are you in a relationship? I'm in a relationship with secretary. And then, like, that was it. Right? So it was better to have a relationship with one of the crew members because, like, there were interactions.
You get more out of it, yeah.
Yeah, like, there would be, like, you talk to someone else and they'd be like, oh, you're in a relationship with so-and-so, or you go and talk to them, and then they would have, like, a different set of dialogue options with you because you're in a relationship with them, or so on and so forth. But, you know, just talking to the secretary every time, she's like, do you want a bone? Yes or no?
Yeah,
you know,
basically.
Like, that was kind of it. So I think...
I kind of hope there's more, like, side options that, like, but that would be more meaningful.
And I think that's what they meant, is that, like, because you have your team of 6, you're not just stuck worrying that, like, the team of 6 is really your only romance option. Your romance options on the whole ship, or whatever, you know, group of people is around you, is going to be larger, and they're going to be more complex characters. While they may not fight with you in combat and run around with you, they're all going to be meaningful. I think the 6 characters they've shown you are just your in-combat, like, close characters, and they don't have to be just the only options.
Yeah.
They won't be the only fleshed-out characters in the whole game.
No, I hope not.
Yeah, that's only because they've addressed that I'm thinking that. So, like, I'm not as panicked. I just hope that's the choice, because, like, currently I'm not looking at any of those characters without knowing them, obviously, because you got to build and learn, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at them going like...
There's a Krogan with, like, a bone attached to his armor, so I'm pretty stoked about that. His name is Drac. He sounds cool. Really into that.
Yeah, another thing that I was really worried about was the dashing mechanic. Like, excuse me, in the original Mass Effects, I mean, admittedly, you were a little bit too immobile. Like, you were just kind of in your little jog most of the time.
Well, Mass Effect 1, wasn't great for the shooting mechanics.
Yeah. And even in 2 and 3, I mean, you had a roll where you could roll between cover.
In 3, there was something where you could leap kind of across the battlefield really quick. Like, there was a kind of dash, but it was only, like, one technique. It wasn't like we've implemented like a fucking jetpack for you to, you know, mobilize around the...
I think you could run and slide up to cover or something, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could also do that.
Yeah, you could, like, jog and slide up to cover, which was a little bit nicer. But yeah, you weren't really the most highly mobile, and plus it was still back in the day where you were stuck to just jumping in cover, jump cover, cover.
Cover to cover.
Yeah, you just, like, make your way up the battlefield. But like with this one, when they did the first, like, and I'm not talking like a dash, I'm talking that warp, like, jump down dash thing. I was like, I don't really want to be flying around like Superman. You know, I don't want to be teleporting around this thing and being like Infamous. It's not really like the character of the game in the way I want it. I want to, like, you know, jump behind cover periodically and then maybe jump out and dash towards someone or something like that. I want to have more interactions with my environment, because that was kind of what made Mass Effect feel so epic and sci-fi, was that in these epic sci-fi environments you were, even though it was all cover, you were still interacting and using the environment to try and shoot at stuff. And, you know, like, that was older versions and it was fulfilling then. I wanted something new and better with that. Looking at the dashing mechanic in the first video, I was like, I don't want that ability at all.
Yeah, you've always been really worried about this.
Yeah.
I always just thought, like, I won't fucking use it if I don't like it.
Yeah, but
I'll just go cover to cover.
Anything is like, it's going to be, when I saw it, I'm like, I bet this ability has to be used, that you have to dash into things to drop their shields or some like integral bit. I'm guaranteeing, because they're like, we invented a new mechanic, now we're going to enforce you to use it, every single enemy.
Developers do that.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck, I don't want to have that happen. And then I had the jetpack too, and I'm like, well, I love the idea of being able to jump and not just be stuck on the ground, but, you know, like, how is this thing going to work? And also going to work in combat. The very opening was, here's your dash and jetpack working together seamlessly. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, okay, that looks like a ton of fun. I'm going to, like, get behind my cover, like, you know, freeze someone, dash into them and shatter them, and then, like, roll back behind other cover, shoot a couple of other people, turn invisible, and then, like, run around behind someone, use my jetpack to, like, hover in the air and then appear on top of them and smash them in the head, and I'm like, done.
With a sword.
With a sword.
An Asari sword.
Yeah.
All melee weapons are a thing in this game, too, which is... I don't really think melee when I think Mass Effect, but
well, that
kind of cool.
I remember the whole complaint for that one, because in the first one, there's nothing, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, the second one was they brought the biotic melee in.
I think it was the third one.
Or sorry, not the biotic.
The knife thing?
Yeah, on the
biotic
Omni tool.
Yeah.
They brought that in. It was like it was the same exact stab every time. It was in the second one.
Oh, was it the second one?
Yeah. And then after that, they made it into something that was basically the same thing with a little couple of twists in the third one. It was because there was no melee, and everyone's like, you should use your Omni tool more, because the Omni tool...
It just looks cool.
is also the most powerful item that you possibly could own, because it, like, assimilates all data, breaks down any components into, like, small energy cubes to just store away. You know, it computes everything. It did everything. It breaks down technology, reads technology.
It's Glitch from Reboot.
It's Glitch from Reboot. It really is. And it looks awesome. It was an amazing concept design that was executed amazingly.
Imagine I was
wanted to use it.
Imagine I was on the BioWare team when they were designing it, and like the guy was like, "Isn't this a cool thing? You do this fucking thing, and it becomes a knife, and it becomes a thing, and it gets all the data." And I'm like, "It's like Glitch from Reboot." Just starts erasing. Fuck.
Darkest timeline.
Yeah. Oh shit.
God damn
Just
it.
break it down. Shatter his dreams.
Even for the rest of the time you're working there, you're just throwing stuff into your cubicle, like rocks with things saying "fuck you, Cal."
Little piece of paper.
Yeah, but like the movement and interactions behind all that stuff were really cool, and then like having the melee weapons it's an interesting interaction, because like being melee and punching and stuff, it's always been about the guns. Been about the guns. But the way they showed it didn't look like you're going up and doing like a combo system like Devil May Cry. It was more just like, when you go up, you're not just going to keep using the same Omni tool knife. You're going to go up and...
There was an Asari sword, and there was a hammer, and there was a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in having a loadout with a fucking, like, a Asari katana and a shotgun, and cloaking myself, and just murking the entire battlefield like a fucking...
Ninja?
Yeah, but ninjas don't use shotguns. That doesn't really matter. I've always been very much like, I'm going to do stealth and dynamite, and people are like, why? That kind of thing, so... That's what I did. I did like 2 Fallout characters that were like low intelligence, high explosive power, and stealth. It would never work out very well, but like it was fun.
These people are just standing around. Where are all these explosions coming from?
Yeah, I just had like a million dynamite sticks. Like, whoa! I was like a villain from a fucking cartoon. Just throwing these bundles of dynamite. Yeah, see, pulling my mustache.
But what I also saw was that one of the other characters had like 2 biotic blades on both hands. Like you did a melee attack with that, so that would be cool too. Is like being able to like upgrade your Omni tool to like be able to do 2 like swords and stuff, like different interactions. So you're not just constantly doing the like haha Omni tool, haha Omni tool.
One stab.
Yeah.
Another thing. Are we talking about what we want in the game now?
Well, this is the same thing. This was like what we saw, what we didn't like, and what.
This is. I have no reason to think they're not doing this, but they didn't do it until the 3rd game. And it was a meaningful interaction between other party members. In Mass Effect 1 and 2, I always felt, even though I was in a ship full of all my party members, and I was recruiting them, and, you know, we're all going off a suicide mission and all this shit, they never really talked to one another or about each other. After you recruited someone new, you could go and be like, hey, Tally, what do you think of Grunt? When I released that Krogan, what did you think of that? She's like, he might be dangerous. And you're like, great, that's cool. That's like literally the expansion of Grunt and Tally's relationship. But in 3, they kind of expanded on it, and they had like...
You could actually like make people like really pissed and never talk to you again, almost.
Oh yeah, there was the interactions where like if you romance Miranda, but you were also like romance Jack, they get into a fight. I like that. Not enough of it. I want more. I want more in 3, in the ship, this is one of the good things about 3 that I really liked, was like, you could just go into a room and it would be fucking, what was her name? Ashley? I guess it would have Kaiden for you. It was Ashley and Tally, and they were like drinking in just like a little bar off to the side, and they were talking, and you could eavesdrop on this conversation, and it made it feel like, oh, we're a team. Like, we're an actual team that we all get along and stuff. It's like a...
They're going to make this a living ship.
That's what I want. I have no reason to think they're not going to do that, but like, they didn't do it in 1 and 2, and I didn't really know that I was missing it until 3 happened, and I was like, that's what the other ones are missing. I was like, there wasn't enough just like camaraderie around the ship.
There's a lot of that component, and that's one of the things that I haven't seen that is missing, and it's one of the things I want to know is that, so in this trailer they actually showed you basically the same, like, you call it the Galaga map.
Oh yeah.
They showed you like you got into a solar system and it was the Galaga map. That interaction with controlling your ship and getting around, that's something I'm very interested in, making sure that system's smooth, because you spend so much time in all the games, no matter how they change the system, doing that travel. A lot of the game was you piloting the ship around.
Yep.
So, like, that system I really want to know, but also they have not shown you the inside of the new... It's not the Normandy anymore, it's the Hyperion.
Yes. Good on you for remembering that. I would have struggled for 3 days.
I'm obsessed with the ship. I love the design of the Normandy, and the fact that they've made the Hyperion, like, so modeled after it, but a wonderful rendition. I really love the design. I've actually, like, been looking up the art for it a lot. But, like, that's the thing. We haven't seen the inside of that ship. And we haven't seen our Citadel, like the big actual Andromeda itself, which will be our Citadel, like the places you know you're going to keep going back to a lot. I want to see
the
those
main hubs.
Yeah,
and they've said there's multiple.
Yeah, but I want to see these places, especially because there's going to be the big one. There's going to be the Citadel. There's always a bigger city that you constantly return to, which will be the Andromeda, or maybe another one of the other ships like the Andromeda that showed up into the galaxy. Like then the Hyperion, you spend a lot of time on those places, and like you said in the other games, it only got fulfilling by the third one. We haven't seen like how many floors there are, where the characters stay. Do they all actually have a quarters this time, rather than constantly standing by the weapons bay?
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Do they move around? Will they actually move around the ship somehow? Right?
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to have them shifting on all the floors, so that you're not like coming down and being like, "What floor is Garrus on?"
Well, that was the thing. In 2, it was very much a thing of like, okay, I did a main mission. After I do a mission, I have to go check the first floor, talk to everyone, see if anything's different. No, okay, go to the second floor. Okay, talk to everyone. You okay? You are all the same dialogue as last time. Go to the third floor. Go to the basement.
Yeah.
It was just like you had to go to every floor to get all your teammates to see if they had any take on what just happened.
Yeah.
And that was kind of annoying. But yeah, again, in 3, it felt like a living ship. Felt like things were happening. It felt very cohesive, and I really enjoyed that. And I want more of that.
Yeah, we'll probably see before the game releases is one like blast of the whole social system in the inside of one of the ships or something like that. So
the social system is like a hard thing to like make into an entertaining trailer. I understand why we haven't seen a lot of it. Like,
I don't care about the dialogue wheel. Like they can work with that in however way they want. I'm talking about like again like living ship, living Citadel, living like give me the expansive, massive world that you had sold visually in the other games, but now with the technology you can do literally. Give me the literal that I wanted to see for the other games. And you're right, I definitely want to see that. Yeah,
absolutely. That's really a big thing for me with Mass Effect ever since 3, actually. Like, I was like, oh, that's what I didn't like with the other ones. Like, that kind of thing. Yeah. Or not didn't like, but just didn't know I was missing.
Is there anything else that you thought that you hadn't seen that you wanted to see?
No, not that I can think of right now.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, the only it's not this is a small one, it's a quick hit. Is we've seen them be able to change armors, and we've seen several armor types. One of the armor types in that video showed like a organic looking version, and then like some of them look like hard armor, some of them look like, so that's really cool.
I like that they're bringing back like a variety of like visual.
For sure, and that there's going to be like some sort of combination, and you get to make a lot of different armor. I want that armor to do more than just like. You get more pistol ammo. Because I think it was in the third one was where they made basically the bonuses on the armor completely worthless.
I honestly don't even remember.
I don't even remember. I think the second one had somewhere that actually made some differences, like where they
The thing is, the second and third ones, the armors, I only remember really caring about visually because I think the stuff was so inconsequential.
Yeah.
It was like more pistol ammo or something, right? Whereas in the first one kind of had like the Borderlands problem of like, there's a bunch of armor and some of it's just like +2, +5, whatever. It's the same looking shit. But occasionally you would find something that was like, oh, this is a unique looking thing and it has like poison resistance. Oh, weird, cool. Yeah. Like, and you put that on for a while and it'd be like, this is a weird suit, and walking around in like green suit and the Citadel and fucking shit. Like, it was great. I hope there's a better balance of that in this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see these outfits. One, I hate outfits that are just designed to be like one thing. Like you get this really cool one, and it's the fire resistant outfit, like in fucking Final Fantasies, where they're like, this is your plus 15 fire resist suit.
Yeah.
It looks great, but I don't really care about being immune to one element out of 20.
Yeah, I'll equip that once when I know I'm going up against Ifrit or something.
Yeah, it's like
that thing.
Well, like I hate that, so I don't want them just to be very specific to like being immune to.
Yeah, you're right, because it can like look cool, but you're like,
yeah,
why would I ever wear this?
Yeah, I want them to like have like some interesting effects, and I want them to have visual effects as well. So like, if you get into the big armors, and it's like this armor protects you with an energy field, and like you'd actually see it go like.
Yeah. Totally.
Or like, you know, if you punch someone with this, like it creates an explosion, like an actual explosion, not just like an extra number jumps up off of it or something.
Oh yeah, that'd be shitty.
You know, like I want to have some like visual representation of the armors. Also, just as the last thing, I also am wondering, and I think we've seen this, is the characters actually have different outfits?
Have we seen that?
Something was either talked about that they actually had different outfits in one of those like lists that we went through on one of the forums.
It's very possible. We've read so much on it. I don't remember
I
everything.
don't remember. Or
I feel like we talked about it though, but I don't know if we were just bitching or if it was actually a thing that they talked about.
I just want them to, again, also have armor. Again, like I want my character customization. So like if I'm gonna get a biotic character, you can maybe like divide the biotic character up a little bit, so that maybe you can make them into a glass cannon where they're just like basically Jean Grey, you know, just sitting in the back just going bah, and stuff flies out of their faces and everything dies, but they get hit once and they're just like pink.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
Or you're going to design something that's going to create like that's like a support biotic where they're going to make lots of shields and barriers and stuff and have all sorts of reflective fields and things they put up. Or something around the middle with maybe someone who's more like mid-range and like actually uses their gun and uses like attack biotics and some support stuff, which obviously sounds like the better option.
And again, with 6 party members, I feel like they might actually go that route. Get it a little more customizable, right? Like it won't be as like cut and dry.
Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping for that kind of customization.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So for the last bit is just a full breakdown of the things we've seen in the trailer. And what we want to, like, what we really liked, i.e. like the weapon system we just saw. We saw the new biotic system and the tech system and like all the leveling up and stuff and all that. Like,
I'm stoked about the fact that you can just switch between loadouts. You can create, I think there's 4 slots for different loadouts, but I could have my shotgun sword one, I could have a fucking like a cloak sniper one, you know, all this shit. I could have a regular soldier assault rifle one. Yeah. And I hope switching between that is like easy. I can't imagine them making it complicated.
What about if it's in combat or out of combat?
I would prefer in combat personally.
Really?
Yeah. That's my Devil May Cry, my Devil May Cry DNA coming out, where you can switch every weapon in combat and also styles. You can go from Swordmaster to Gunslinger to Trickster, and you're just fucking going.
Yeah.
But I would like to do that because imagine I go in with my shotgun and my sword and my cloak, and I'm like, wait a minute. All the guys are way over there.
I could do it.
And then I switch over to my sniper one, and I'm like, this is way better.
I could see that working out as well, but maybe like a cooldown consequence where you can't just swap on the fly, like just.
Yeah, maybe a cooldown. Yeah, so as you could tactically do it.
Yeah, because you can't just constantly be going like, oh, I just didn't. Because then the thing is your loadout and your choice.
You basically have infinite loadout if you put like every gun on everything.
Yeah, like it doesn't even matter. Like you defining yourself into a role of a particular type doesn't matter, right? So,
well, it does seem like it matters less in this one. Yeah, the way the classes are.
Oh yeah, and I don't think it it doesn't mean like putting yourself into being a soldier or whatever. But what I mean is more just like, you just rolling through everything constantly is too much of the universal soldier, and then it also would make your party members completely useless. Like there'd be no point. You are the universal soldier. You're just like whipping out all the guns and all the biotics. Yes. Yeah, you're just like.
I am Jean-Claude Van Damme. Believe it won't get that reference. Nobody does.
Yeah, so the weapon systems too. Like, what did you think about? I mean, they brought back literally the same guns, pistols.
Yep.
Actually, is there less with the options? Because were there pistols, rifles,
shotgun, sniper? That seems
they
right.
they said there was 3 classes.
Did they?
Yeah, it was pistols, rifles,
snipers,
melee. I guess the rifles also included. I don't know. And that'll be another question is about kind of loadout for that, right? Could you just equip 3 different types of shotguns?
Yes, hopefully.
You know, because obviously you're only going to have a loadout of a certain amount of guns. You're not just going to have all guns, right? They give you, like, you know, you're going to pick your 4 guns or something. As they showed on the wheel. So, like, you're going to pick out your loadout from that. But whatever, they brought back the classics, so they're all there.
Yeah.
Right? And not really anything too new, but they brought in lots of different types of guns, which they did, which was a way of expanding the library of it, was they have the Terran, like, Galaxy guns, which are the stuff we know from Mass Effect, rifles, etc., shoot bullets, and probably have other effects and things like that. Then they had some other alien races guns that ran on a heat version.
Yep.
Most of those shot like red laser beams of some sort and were highly accurate or something, they said.
Yeah, but they had to wait for cooldown when you shot too much, I guess.
Yeah, and they had different weird interactions. Some of them were like firing long range beams. Some of them were like, even one of them was like hold it on top of them and it was like shooting like a weird curvy laser at them.
And that's kind of a neat trade-off too, to have like infinite ammo but need to cool down.
Yeah. Plus, it might be like change up your type, so you'd be like, I want to have a laser overheat, you know, rifle kind of gun, but I'll have an earth pistol for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever you want. Yeah, that doesn't matter.
And then you'll have the third option, which was the Andromeda Galaxy guns that were, what did he say they were? Plasma based.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were homing. Did you say there was ammo on those? Yes?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe
the only one he specified that there wasn't ammo for was the
other one.
Other race.
Yeah,
guns,
the other
so,
race guns, yeah. Which, the homing stuff looked neat. Seems a little, like, that would get boring real quick.
Easy mode.
Yeah.
Well, another thing I remember you saying you liked was the fact that it didn't look like you were just chewing through the enemies. It looked like they actually took some hits, which is cool. And that's actually something I feel like you could do with an alien race, because you could be like, oh, I headshot them, why wouldn't they die? And it's like, well, their brain is actually in their nutsack. Or, you know, they're like, whatever. So, like, wouldn't it be cool if they switched it up like that a little bit? No, you're not necessarily nutsack. Your knee, whatever the fuck. Or your lower back. That's something that, like, I know some people can't just can't get over. It never bothers me personally. But my old roommate, he always, like, he could not play Fallout. Because just for the pure fact that, like, if you shot someone in the head, it didn't kill them. It was, like, it did more damage because it's, like, an RPG. But, like, it didn't kill them instantly. And that always bothered him, even though we played Borderlands, which was the exact same thing.
No, I mean, it would be cool, too, if the anatomies were different on each one, and that you could, like, scan them and find out that their anatomy is different, and yeah, maybe they do, like, you know, like, their eyes are actually on the back of their heads.
Yeah, or you need to do, like, a chest shot or something, or, you know, something else other than a headshot, because it's always head.
Or, like, you have a blinding ability, but it turns out that they've got, like, you know, 2 pairs of eyelids, so, like, it doesn't work on them or something.
Yeah, that'd be kind of neat, yeah. We might be, like, reaching a little too far now, but like, yeah,
no, it would be a cool thing if it was in there, and it could be.
Or if there was even something like in Dead Space with the tendrils, everything was about eviscerating like the limbs and the tentacles and shit. Even something like that.
You're right, but the thing I got is like at the end of the day, they all have a health bar, right? Which is going to be the thing at the end. And what I didn't want is that this game, because I saw that high action, high mobility fighting system, which has been elated since this trailer, but I thought it would just be a lot of like, you know, big cannon guns and smashing massive amounts of enemies while they all just keep flailing and dying kind of thing. Because, like, in Mass Effect, it was never really like that. You always had to go running, have cover. You couldn't just charge into the middle of an enemy team until, like, the end of the game. But, you know, you had to take cover.
Actually, when he was demoing, in that trailer, when he was demoing one of the things, there's a guy shooting him in the middle of the field, and he kept running up to melee him with something. Yeah. And he was like, and you can do melee. And he was like, finally hits him. I was like, perfect. That will be me.
I mean, they're not showing the consequence of it in here, but I'm sure. I want that relation. Like, I mean, the difficulty or over leveling or anything like that. I want that curbed a bit more. So that, like, I want to be hammering on these guys for a bit. I don't just want to be like, there's 20 guys. One biotic pulse took out 6, and then I just took an auto rifle. Like, and that was it. I'm like, there's 20 guys down. I want to like have to think about taking them all out because I liked in Mass Effect the other ones were like some of them had shields and you had to take down their shields, and then like some of them were like shield and armored and they were really heavy duty, and you had to plow through these guys and work through them with different abilities and all that, and think about it a little bit. I don't just want like bullet sponges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be cool. You know how they said the side quests would be meaningful and shit in this game? I was just thinking, like, it would be really cool if you, like, you know how, like, they're gamers, you know, we want to get 100% and everything. We always have in our mind, like, well, I want 100% this game, all this shit, blah, blah, whatever. You visit every planet you can, let's say, and you land on this one planet. and their fucking society is totally rocked by this. They're like, what the? There are people up there? Like, what's happening? And they're like a flat Earth society. Like, they believe it's a fucking flat Earth, and they're like, no, there's no roundness. There's no. What are you talking about? And like, inadvertently by going there, the storyline is just like you mass genocide this race because they can't deal with the fact that there are more people out there. The Earth isn't flat. Trump is the leader. And all this shit. And it's like, and then they just like they wipe themselves out by the end of the storyline, and you have to leave knowing that you fucking genocide this entire race, and you're actually worse off for it, and then you don't get 100% in the game because you fucked them over. That'd be amazing. That'll never happen.
No.
But that'd be great.
That would be really cool.
It's actually, yeah, because it would be like bad that you tried 100%. You know what I mean?
Thinking about anatomy, it's like every single time you've ever had alien sex in Mass Effect, one of the alien sex characters you could have was Liara and gas mask girl.
Tally.
Yeah. Which you never really know what Tally looks like underneath all that.
No. Well, you did. They released the picture. Did you ever see that?
No.
Okay, so if you romance Tally, they after you do the deed with her, if you go to Shepard's room, on his nightstand, there's that little like picture, and it's a picture of her, and it's like to Shepard from Tally, and it's literally like a Google stock image that like they got, and they just added like kind of alienish eyes and tinted her skin like purple, and they're like, here you go. And everyone was super pissed. They're like, what the fuck? You finally reveal her face and it's in a picture on the side of the thing. It's just a Google stock image. You fucking photoshopped. It was terrible. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's canon, technically.
Yeah.
But, yes, that was the reveal.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was just, only one part, there are two parts. First was, like, for romancing Tally, like, they're wearing these suits because they're terrified of infection and everything, right? And then she's like, I'm taking my suit off and I took all these antibiotics just for you. And then she's engaging in intercourse, the swapping of more fluids and bodily bacteria than you could ever possibly hope.
Yeah, wouldn't it be sick if
you're basically just like you're killing her. You're like she's just gonna every time you have sex, she's gonna be violently ill for like a month.
I'm insanely sick. It wasn't worth it.
No, we're not even compatible physically, which is my thing. It's like, how do we? Some of these aliens are looking a little bit more alien. Like one of them is like the weird swollen neck thing.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get that thing undressed in your room, and it's just gonna be like. And inflate.
Okay, let's say it has like just a black hole to another dimension there, and like that's fine. You'd be like, okay, can't touch that area, but like if you move your knee the right way, that can fuck that crevice, you know? Like it's something you could do whatever you want. If you really loved that lion nose,
it's
neck, big and large man, you could fuck the back of his knee. That's totally fine. Just slap your cock on his on his neck a little bit.
But like sexual intercourse for him is just like he comes in and just like it inflates into a giant balloon, and he's just like. All right, now I'm gonna spread my seed.
Now pop me. Pop me, Shepard.
You're just like taking off your clothes, he inflates, and he's like, I don't know what to do next.
No,
what do I
you
do?
Pop me. Do it. And he's really pressuring you into it. You pop him. A bunch of spores come out. You're pregnant. You will give birth to 600 of my lion-nosed babies.
It just like releases this gas everywhere, and you pass out. You wake up, he's like lying naked on the bed having a cigarette. You were great. I don't know what happened. What did you do? It's just like stained purple.
Your intestines will burst in about 3 months, full of my children. Thank you. Would you like to do it again?
Yeah. Or like Garrus, I mean, like again, like thinking Predator or anything like that. Like everything's based around them having like mandibles.
Yeah. Well, they look so hard. I can't imagine that like there's much organic shit going on underneath there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're weird. Maybe it's just like a drill. They drill into the other one, and then there's just like a fucking like seeds into that's how you get baby Turians. Can they get pregnant? Is that how they do it?
Well, what if there's just no genitals at all, and it's just really like they open their mouth, and then like underneath their tongue is another thing that just comes out and goes. Sticks him in the back of the neck. He's like, what is that? Get it out.
This is not how we do it. Yeah, you gotta lay some ground rules. I guess you're gonna be fucking all these different species and shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, hell, why is it that Liara and, again, Tali, had human vajayjays?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure it's canon that they actually have human vajayjays. You're rolling around with them like they do, but maybe they're just on top of you and that's just a sensual scene. Because the way that the Saris reproduce is mental, right? It's all the head shit.
I thought something like that. I
right?
forget. They actually talked about it and it was different. Like, you couldn't ever procreate from, like, normal physical sex with them.
Yeah.
I think it was some sort of, like, empathy bonding thing or something like that, yeah. Like, you bond enough with someone and then they just get...
BioWare probably wants you to think they have vaginas, though. I'd say that's probably canon. I would say.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, like, getting even further, what about the Elcor, for God's sakes?
Oh, they're just like elephant people. They just do it like elephants, probably.
But they're so huge, and like they're probably like used to extreme gravity, right? So like they're just gonna come in and like stand still, and then like you're just like humping up against their leg.
Well, hearing them would be much more entertaining than seeing them.
Like sex
moan of ecstasy.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes. You know, it'd be shit like that. You know. There's so much rife comedy potential with the Elcor. I hope they're in this galaxy too. They're amazing. Them and the jellyfish race. What are they called? The jellyfish, whatever they were. They were both like some of my favorites to see. Yeah. You know, because like you're never gonna get them as a party member. I wish you did. But,
oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
I want the jellyfish. I'm gonna just show up with that thing and just be like coming up.
Yes.
It just comes over and like picks one up and then drags it off screen.
We're gonna fuck you up, elusive man. This is fucking shitty jellyfish idea. Krogan on one side.
The whole cutscene is just like them talking. Then you're right. The elusive man is just like pacing back and forth, giving a lecture, and then just from over top, grabs them and then carries them off screen.
Like one of the claw machines.
Yeah. What does he do to them when they leave? You don't want to know.
Yeah, they're fantastic. What if keepers are going to be in this universe?
And then having sex with one of the jellyfish things. This is like,
well, that's
going in my ears.
Yeah, that's just anything. You need to accept my love. Just all over your fucking whatever you want.
It's just you open the door, it's like a freaking face hugger.
Take one of his tendrils, you wrap it around your dick, like a Twizzler or something.
Now spin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now let loose. It all comes off at once. Hey, yeah, they might be the best of all the races. Who knows? Is there anything else that you had to say about Mass Effect Andromeda that you're excited for?
From the trailer?
Just anything in general. What do you, just our final thoughts.
My final
We've gone way off the rails here.
This has been great, though. Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited now, finally, for the combat and stuff. I'm super excited to actually, get in onto the game, so that's my final thoughts. I'm finally excited to jump in on this world. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to just get one more little round of release of kind of exploration / like we were talking about the ship. Mm-hmm. Like I want to just we keep seeing a lot of slightly blank generic slates.
I feel like they've released like one shot of like the main navigation area of the ship. Like maybe it was art, maybe it wasn't even a render. I forget.
But even with the worlds, like even what they've shown in this combat trailer, like they're just like, here's a world. And I'm like, I can see this being randomly generated on a map thing. Like you're like, all right, fine, but like they're gonna have core worlds with like real missions, and they're gonna have towns and cities with real missions and stuff. That's all part of the main plot. And then the main plot places like the Hyperion and your actual like Andromeda, like and how you're gonna traverse with the Mako and like just I want to see a little bit more of outside of what they've shown, a very tunnel view basically all the time of action sequences recently. Right? Yeah, and now the action sequences look polished,
like kind of like in Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, what does it look like getting from one place to another? Is that boring? Is there something to see?
That's the thing. And then and with this, like we were worried about the combat. And now we got that elated and everything, but I would be kind of afraid that with Mass Effect, it happened with the other two. Once they got the world exploration thing and wiped out the whole Mako and going all that we'd be stuck to another system that was actually quite boring. Mm-hmm. I mean, the launching probes thing wasn't bad. It was actually kind of fun.
It was weirdly fun.
It was weirdly fun.
Not gonna lie to you.
But the Galaga map to walk up to it and just literally be like, you have stuff, and then leave. You know, that was bullshit.
A little bit monotonous, right?
You know? So I want to see a little bit more of that. That's my last concern. Otherwise, I'm totally hyped.
Yeah, I'm happy to be looking forward to this game again. There's just too many games this quarter, Mike. Like we said, there's Horizon coming up in 2 weeks. Yeah. Then we got Mass Effect. Then we got Persona. And Prey's looking awesome. So
we're gonna do our best to do spoiler cast for all of this stuff, including some films.
Yeah. I'm hoping that we get a spoiler cast for Horizon. Probably we'll do an initial impressions and then final thoughts. Same with this one. We'll probably do both for actually all of them. So maybe Prey, depending on how long that is, you know. The other 3 games are long games, so we'll have to see. And we're hoping to get a Logan.
Yep.
One. What else? There's something else, wasn't there?
What, for movies?
Yeah. I feel like I'm missing something.
John Wick?
No. I mean, what's there to discuss? He shot things real good.
He shot things in the head. Real good.
No, I mean, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so look forward to those. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at the KLG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. You can find Pens and Pixels across all social medias. Pick your poison.
Mm-hmm. If you want, or if you are so inclined, please like, share, and subscribe to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube as well. You can find our podcast on YouTube now with even a couple of splashes of the art content in there if we talk about concept art in that episode.
Yep.
Plus, Cal's been putting together pretty intros for us, so look forward to those.
Don't spoil those. We're not ready yet.
No, still. I mean, look forward to 5 seconds of pretty.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be sure to comment and ask questions and get involved in the community. You guys have started to really grow. We've got a great listener base started up with you guys. So, please drop us.
Shoot us an email at meetpensandpixels@gmail.com.
That one. Or drop us a comment on SoundCloud. Drop us a comment on Facebook. Whatever you want. Just let us hear your voices.
Join us next time when we eliminate Ebola.
Eliminate Ebola?
I was just trying to go for alliteration.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about how we're going to break down
Ebola? That's not disturbing. It's a split part, I think. Which is gross when you think about it.